it's a great opportunity for him in front of his family, no doubt, and probably plenty of friends in the stand as well. So we look forward to seeing what he can do. He's kicked, I think, 11 goals in the last couple of weeks in the two, so he's been in good form.
It's exciting. Who goes to Bailey Smith? Does Dunks go to Bailey Smith, or does Bailey Smith have to worry about Dunks the other way?
I'll go the other way. We'll attack the game to start with. We've got plan Bs in place if that doesn't work, but against a team like Geelong, you know, you can worry about a lot of things, or you can worry about not too many things, and we've decided to go that way tonight first of all, and then we'll see how that pans out.
This crowd will be looking for Dangerfield to get involved early. Have you got plans for Danger?
Oh, well, Stars will play on him, so it's similar size and shape, big, powerful men, so that'll be a good battle.
It's going to be a great game. We look forward to it, folks. Thanks for your time.
Thanks, mate.
I love that attitude from Chris Fagan. They're just going to keep things simple. They're not going to get into a convoluted who's going with who and who's going to do what. There's a couple of key jobs, and he's quite happy to say Star Smith will take Danger. We know that. But they're going to back themselves, particularly in the midfield. They're not going to get caught worrying about who's playing on Smith, who's playing on Holmes, who's running with who. They're going to try and win the ball at the source, Gaz. And I love that, being positive, trying to take the initiative.
So Geelong's forward setup, Gaz, I know it's absolutely captured your imagination. You wrote about it with tremendous passion, and one suspects just a mite of jealousy as well in the Sporting Herald side.
And a touch of envy for supporters of some other sides. No, I just love what they're doing. Every single part of it is coming together. They've got the right combination. They've got big power forwards in Neale, Cameron and Dangerfield. And then the small forwards have just been outstanding. So we watched them last week, Jace. Their forward half pressure was off the charts against an Essendon side that were always going to be up against it. They're number 2 in the competition for forward half pressure. They're number 1 in the competition for points from the forward half. So this sort of pressure is going to be, it's at the core of what they do as they run towards the finals. And they are all keyed in. Every single one of them wear it as a badge of honour. You watch them just go. Close chases them down. Manor will chase them down. Tyson Stengel gets involved. And the turnovers that come just give you, and they then have the composure. And this is the other part of this equation, is the way they deliver that ball inside forward 50. It's a work of art. Cameron is licking his lips. Danger licks his lips. They don't waste the possession, and it's just a joy to watch, and it'll be on display again tonight.
Bottom line is, if they win the ball in their forward half, you're in trouble. They turn it into a score. Best way Brisbane can avoid that is to win those clearances, is to win the territory battle and try and limit the number of inside 50s that the Cats have. Easier said than done, of course. They're coming up against a team that's in red-hot form, that's chock full of confidence, that's just starting to get players back in and games under their belt and ready to peak. So, I mean, there's still upside when you look at Tom Stewart hasn't found his best form yet. That's another layer that the Cats can add on as they start that run home. So it's going to be a ripping matchup tonight.
Saw Logan Morris running around as well, talking about young forwards. So his impact in a short period of time has been profound as well.
So much recent history between the two teams. Had I referenced the preliminary final, which was probably the best game of last season, and they met in round 3 at the Gabba. It got put off because of the storms in opening round. Brisbane 25 points down, 32 points down in those 2 games, and came over the top to beat the Cats. So they should feel a degree of confidence as they come to stare down this opponent.
Yeah, and I think their game has been in okay order. I'm looking at their forward line to get back to what it was last year. I mean, by the end of last year, they were the envy of the competition. Yep. They were dangerous. We know that Joe Danaher's not there, but he and Hipwood, but it was Bailey and it was Lohmann. These blokes and Cameron.
What's happened to Kai Lohmann?
Well, he's had an interrupted season. He's had some injuries, no question about that. But he's, by their own admission, he's lost some confidence in the way he played. He was a superstar by the end of the grand final.
Correct. He was winning possessions at will. He was kicking goals, impacting the scoreboard. Can't draw the football at the moment. They need him firing.
Well, I would embrace the same mentality that is being embraced at the other end of the ground. And I'll be telling Charlie Cameron, I'll be telling Lohmann, I'll be telling Bailey and Rayner, you put that sort of pressure on this defence. O'Sullivan and Henry and Guthrie and Martin, if he plays back there, you've got to bring the same sort of heat that Geelong have managed at the other end of the ground. And when Brisbane do that, they're at their very, very best.
Patrick Dangerfield, it's his night. We're going to have 2 icons of the game at the toss of the coin, because Lockie Neale's going to be the other. So both Brownlow medalists. They've both been MVPs. They've both won Coaches Awards. They've both won Best and Fairest at 2 clubs. They're both walk-ups for the Hall of Fame. They're both premiership players.
Yeah, no, they're celebrated by everyone. This is.
They both had to wait too for their premierships, didn't they?
Yeah, they did. And Paddy had to wait a long, long time, and Lockie coming from Fremantle as well. The thing I love about both these 2 boys is their consistency. Their week in and week out level that they get to play at. It's just superb.
Well, all Australians between them. Patrick Dangerfield with the first win of the night.
Lucky game 285, so early next year on target for his 300th game.
What do you think?
I'm thinking that Geelong are in too good a nick, and there's a fair bit at stake here, but I'm fascinated to see the response. And having spoken to the coach and heard the coach there with Brad, they got their back up a little bit. Their suggestion is, hey,
I think you're right.
We're not going as bad as you blokes might think we are, and tonight might be the night that you find out.
It'd be a powerful way to quell those conversations.
Good here. I'm just having a look at this, the smiles, and this is consistent with the Collingwood teams that we've seen in recent times that just enjoyed their football, and that's been consistent with Patrick from day one, as we saw in the vision earlier. So, stage set, looks outstanding, the ground. The white shirt's a bit of a marketing gimmick, but they add something a little bit to the occasion, I reckon. And let's watch out for Zorko. You know, they put some work into him or not. He's so important off the back half.
There's just 2 or 3 bays that aren't playing along with the white theme tonight, which is totally fair enough because in this expanded capacity, there's a few Brisbane Lions fans in the house. They are behind the goals, and the players stand in.
Sam Day goes to the goal square. So Mark Blitzars, what a player. He goes straight to fullback and just still fills in for the Coney. What about that for a matchup? Those two, all Australians, you reckon, McCluggage and Smith. It's going to be on, boys.
Close to a capacity crowd, a night of celebration, but a night with so much riding on it. Second spot up for grabs, second versus third. It is Geelong against Brisbane, and Stanley climbed the highest and got the first tap, but matched by Dunkley. Alongside Holmes, Mullen dug it out to Smith. Atkins just hacked forward by Cameron. Tight one-on-one, well defended by Blitzars, who has gone back, as we said. Henry playing 5 games on return from injury. The Cats have won all of those 5 games. And Fletcher, who has Geelong heritage as well, takes the mark.
Jack Henry has the job on Logan Morris.
Fletcher up to the forwards. It won't be paid Lohmann, but it's called play on. It was touched on the way through. So he'll get it for his confidence, but he won't get the shot at goal. And there's a free kick to boot.
He's going to play the push in the back. I don't know about that. Or was it? It wasn't against Lohmann. It was against. Who was it against? Anyway,
That'll feel good for Lohmann regardless.
it might have been hit with the push earlier. O'Shea Mullen, I was looking for the matchup. He's got Charlie Cameron at the moment, which is interesting.
Jack Martin, his 3rd game as a Cat, playing in defence. Doesn't have the timing right as Rayner gets across.
So Hipwood went early on Stewart. So Kyle Lohmann would be filthy on that.
Much more like we saw Kyle Lohmann last year, though, wasn't it? As you said, so a confidence boost for him with no result. Berry, just a hack forward, and it's going to wobble and warp it through the air and go out of bounds on the foot.
So Lockie Neale, you wonder whether O'Connor goes to Lockie Neale, but just Tommy Atkins squaring off with him at the moment.
It's a tough enough opponent. He's been in outstanding form, Tom Atkins.
Played on him last time as well. It seems the logical matchup. Martin again. That's a better connection. He finds Holmes on the slow play on the way out for the Cats. Extraordinary year.
McCluggage just head-to-head with Bailey Smith, so no lockdown. Just 2 great midfielders going at it.
No surprises on the kick. Long down the line. They fight for position. Blitzhouse helped it on. Starcevic returned successfully last week along the ground to McCluggage initially. Bailey couldn't handle it. Geelong's Bailey. Bailey Smith back to Holmes, his running mate. And suddenly there is a big opening at half forward for Geelong. Dangerfield takes the mark. The volume rises and the expectations. The kick to Neale, brilliantly spoiled by Fletcher. Very attentive there. Gets it away to Berry, and the lines through Morris, who's well up the ground and has a clear, defined path forward.
Lohmann gets himself into the action early. Fletcher's had 2 great touches.
There's a super intercept.
Lohmann plays it forward. Day rises against 3. It's over the boundary.
So that was to a 3-on-1, and Sam Day's sole intention was to get that to ground and out of bounds so they can reset here. There's the Fletcher intercept at half-back. It was outstanding. It looked like Paddy Dangerfield's first touch was going to lead to a goal until he got involved.
Lions have 19 premiership players out on the field tonight. Stewart Roves off to Smith, out in front of Atkins. He's tackled. He's usually the one doing the tackling. Berry wraps him up.
And you just see, that smothered kick, you saw 3 or 4 Brisbane Lions get over it. So there's a concerted early intent to really get in behind each other here.
It won't be particularly easy to handle the ball with the moisture in the air. We've seen a bit of that lately as winter takes hold around the country, particularly in the southern states. No score yet. 3.5 minutes, all tied up in this opening turn. Oh, look at that from Rayner. Charging through, off to Berry. Where next? Back to Fletcher. Been busy thus far. High ball hit with the focus, and he almost drags it down. Bailey couldn't manoeuvre his way through. Geelong defenders doing what they had to do to stop.
Zach Bailey's was matched up with Ollie Dempsey on a wing as well, which is interesting.
Ford started his career here. Stanley beats him to it. Lohmann's threatening, edged away from him. Holmes kept it moving. Dempsey only as far as Neale, back to through the traffic. Dunkley around to Hipwood, off to Cameron, now to Rayner. Lions are trying to get a shot away. Rayner just fluffed the kick. Dunkley has a go, not enough on it. Stewart is goaltending.
Might just check in with you, John, on those conditions we're alluding to.
Oh, it's extremely slippery at ground level. You'll see the players slide around a fair bit as Jeremy Cummins takes a nice mark just outside the defensive 50. The other matchup to look out for as well is Manor on Zorko, both playing high. So Zorko looking to go up as high as he can with Manor and control forward half ball for the Brisbane Lions.
Cameron has checked out all the options. He's just going to kick long as well. We'll see plenty of that tonight. Bustle for position. Stanley tried to tap it down with some purpose, but couldn't quite connect.
Well, no, we're not seeing the score that we'd probably like to see, but from a Brisbane perspective, they've taken the heat out of the home crowd early in the occasion and all those sorts of things and got themselves into the contest.
Sullivan's gone back onto Hipwood as the deepest defender.
Tom Stewart's got himself into his preferred role as the free behind the ball.
Fought on the follow-up. Made his debut as a cat here and kicked 3 goals, but turned it over. Holmes just blasting for Stengel. Answorth has interfered. And Tyson Stengel, the second most popular man here tonight in game 100, will shoot for goal.
He's back to the ball, Answorth. Now, whether he made contact with the ball first, but that's what the umpire sees here. Oh, gee whiz.
He didn't touch it.
That is very, very minor.
No, the problem was he wasn't looking at the ball, and the umpires used that as a cue, but he actually didn't interfere with the player.
So what an asset he's been. Already a premiership player. 4 goals here a couple of weeks ago against the Suns when nobody else kicked multiples. 1-2 last week. Has he done enough with the kick? It's line ball. Wrong side of the line in the post.
Justice, Jason. Justice.
First score took 6.5 minutes. Long ball on the way in, almost picked off. Dunkley just ties it up.
All that holding the ball. They were looking for a set play there for Dunkley running back into the middle.
Zorko on the flyby, not a great kick. Easy work for Humphries. Plays it off to the side. Henry. He's got Martin out wide. Stays more central. Stanley. Plays it for Bailey Smith. Zach Bailey's with it. Bailey, Fletcher, hunted down. Had support. Answorth needs the kick up the line and has it today, the quick release. McCluggage, best on ground when last they played. Lovely ball into centre field to Will Ashcroft. Plays it up to Cameron. Dropped the mark that he might have taken. Blitzarves on the tidy up. Just burst through. Sends the Cats maybe a bit too strong for Neale. Fort had position on him.
Charlie Cameron's got to mark that ball.
Yep.
He might have got a little clip line here, but he's got to take that mark.
And then he butted up with a second mistake. He missed the tackle. He didn't act defensively.
Ashcroft didn't handle it as well as he would normally, but tidied up nicely by Fletcher. Now Berry's kick. He might be ready to jump again, Lohmann.
Yes, he had a practice.
Well, he had a side, didn't he, Gaz? He had it taken off him, but this time the kick sat perfectly on Guthrie in front of him. He had the run and jump. Nothing Guthrie could do.
I think he'd rather the first one count than that one, but
Yeah, I like the way that they won't blast down the line here. A couple of times they've gone forward. It's been the kick before this has been a little 45 off the line a bit.
The coach has kept the faith. He set such a high bar last year, Kyle Lohmann. Hasn't been able to live up to it. Just 4 goals for the season. And unfortunately, it's Morris with the acrobatics. And we know he missed kicking a goal last week from Brisbane, so that becomes potentially a big miss early for Lohmann.
It does, Hunter. And the one thing you want to see if you're a Brisbane player and supporter is a couple go through the big sticks early to get that monkey off the back.
O'Sullivan, Myers, Atkins in centre field. He'll roll and go and give them a look out at half forward. Dempsey's his man. Dangerfield works ahead.
Shannon Neale's worked in there on his own here.
Smith trying to find the way. Kick is going to land shallow. Zorko cuts it off. And a real desire to take it on through the middle. Up to Morris, out to McCluggage, plays it to the wing. Levi Ashcroft's running shotgun here to receive from McLaughlin. Up he goes. Lohmann in everything early. Playing his way back to form. The centre half forward's a good ball. Dunkley plays it for Hipwood. Set himself to lead and takes the grab.
So it's a great example of what we're talking about here. So they don't want to go long down the line to an obvious spot. So watch the build up to this is across to the centre corridor, and then he swings and goes straight away from the corridor again to an off the line ball.
Other factor is Tom Stewart's been taken off the ground, but it looks like he's going to come back, so he was getting some medical attention.
When the Lions got closest here in 2021, losing by a point, Eric Hipwood kicked 4 goals, 3. For the ideal start for Brisbane, Hipwood has the moment and blunders. It's a contagion for the Lions.
And it's a kick lacking confidence, Jared. It barely got half post height. He didn't kick through the ball. He poked at it. They've got to take those opportunities and reward themselves. They're changing angles, Gaz. The other thing they're looking to do, Brisbane, is move the ball quickly.
Guthrie, Fort, well placed to at least spoil. And the free kick goes the way to the ex-cat. There's Bailey to his right, Zorko to his left, but decides he can kick it up to where the hottest spot is. Morris slept early. Did he get a shot from Jack Henry? Not enough for the umpire.
That's why they don't want to go long down the line like that.
Quickly to Duncan. We've seen a bit of this from Geelong so far. Stagged it out of that back pocket. So forced to kick down the line. Dempsey is a natural leaper and marker. Second for contested marks for the Cats.
They've been looking at corridor too, Hutto, but not on this occasion.
Paddy's down the line. It won't reach him again. They've fallen short several times. Starcevic.
Well, plenty of dew on the ground, but it's great to see the players marking the ball so cleanly early.
Starcevic has Bailey set wide. Can play it up beyond halfway. Well-weighted ball from McLaughlin. The Colac kid. His family down on the fence to greet him during the warm-ups. McLaughlin gives them a look deep. Hipwood's punched away from hand. Ground ball. Levi taken high.
Bailey Smith thinks that he played for it and he's going to cop 50, so they will get the goal.
Levi Ashcroft taking a point blank.
This is good reward for effort, this. They've been good early here, Brisbane.
A much-deserved opening goal for Brisbane. Making a bold start down the highway.
So the territory battle has been theirs. They've had 9 inside 50s to 3. So they've moved the footy really well from back to front, and they just haven't been able to finish their play. And on this occasion, so they've been inside 9 times for 3 scores. Okay, but the bit down the line here is not what they want, Jace, but they get away with it.
Yeah, look, it's one thing to give away the free kick, Bailey Smith, and he thought he was acting, ducking, and he probably does drop a little bit. But giving away the 50 was the inexcusable part, because the pressure was already building on the set shots, and that wouldn't have been an easy one from 30 out directly in front. The way they've been kicking of late, don't gift the goal line goal.
It's a great point. I mean, in the end, you'd expect him to kick it from there, but not the sort of goal kicking form they've been in. So, no, I think reward for effort. They've had a good start here, Brisbane.
First time at this stadium for both Ashcrofts, though. They both played here in under-18s and had big games. The ball juts out. Here's Lohmann. His approach was excellent. Careful enough, but got possession. Kept it in friendly hands as they worked it around through Dunkley to Rayner. Cats fans will remember that left foot of his from the preliminary final, but this time it was a misfire.
He's getting a spray from Lohmann. He was all on his own, just had the hand pass or short chip.
That's exactly the way they want to play, and he just ignored it, Cam Rayner.
And Kyle Lohmann has been on fire early in the game. He found space again. Got to use him.
5-1 clearance early in favour of Brisbane.
Morris wasn't convinced, but ultimately does go down the line. And again, Andrews well positioned. They're winning the important contest at the moment, the Lions. Andrews sends Will Ashcroft on his way into the 50. Lohmann again in the pocket on the slide.
Ooh, Kyle Lohmann's lit up early.
Hasn't he?
This is his third mark as an inside forward 50.
Finding all sorts of space. Needs the finish.
What he needs is exactly that, Jason. He's come out full of vim and vigour. He's looked much more like the player we grew to love last year. 4 goals in the grand final, a screamer in the preliminary, and 1 goal free. He needs a goal. He has it now, and the strut is back for Kyle Lohmann. And this is quite a little opening statement for the Brisbane Lions.
There's no doubt about that, Jace. I mean, that's from a forward's point of view, he couldn't start any better than this for Kyle Lohmann. So last year he showed everyone what he was capable of doing. This was the preliminary final where we just sat back and thought, we're watching the emergence of something pretty special here in Kyle Lohmann, and then he backed it up in the grand final as well. He took one of these in the opening minutes here that he got denied for a free kick, but since that point he's just lit this joint up. Outstanding. This was the one where Rayner had to go to him.
Yeah.
He ignored the team plan there. That is a bad mistake from Cam Rayner. He cops it rightfully.
Right. G Dunkley's been involved in everything early as well. 7 possessions. Started the game beautifully.
And been goalless in 7 of 9 games, Kyle Lohmann. But right from the outset, he's looked the most lively forward. Neale had a fly hack at it. Smith and Holmes trying to combine. Fletcher has other ideas.
It's the youngsters for the Brisbane Lions as well. We talk about the leaders all the time, but these young leaders in Fletcher, the 2 Ashcroft boys, and Lohmann setting the tone early.
Holmes taken down as soon as he gets hold of it.
And it's early days, I know, but we talk about how good they are, Geelong, forward of the ball. They haven't had a forward half chain yet. They have not had one single forward half chain, Geelong, in this game.
Levi Ashcroft releases Neale, kicks in the hipward direction. He's got plenty of company, but Sub's first touch was a good one. Found some space himself. Checks his kick for Holmes.
And they've defended this well, Jared. There's no sort of quick... They got opened up once or twice early through the middle. They've made them go down the line here.
Holmes no good. Telegraphed and Rayner cuts it off.
Terrific.
Didn't go instantly. Now goes deep. Needs Dunkley to have a fly. Stewart's on the tidy up for the Cats. Calm as ever. Myers. What's he got to work with? Drags the kick back inboard. That's picked off too. Wilmot, he loves the goal. Pins the ears back and nails it. And if there's one man who celebrates better than Kyle Lohmann, it's Darcy Wilmot.
And make no mistake, the players have come from everywhere. Harris Andrews from fullback. They sprinted the length of the ground to understand what's happening here, recognising the start that the Lions have made. Every time they try to change direction. And it's Max Holmes again. He's tried to come into the corridor. They've picked him off. They've been picked off a couple of times within a minute and has created opportunities.
That was the second one, Jace. So
Lions, was it?
This is a football side that are absolutely switched on, the Brisbane Lions. They know what Geelong are trying to do. Rayner was the one that cut them off early, about 30 seconds earlier. Then Brian Myers does what Brian Myers does better than anyone, kicks off the line, but they're awake to it. And then he finishes it off magnificently.
So 1 to Holmes, 1 to Myers. They're looking for that inboard kick and they're picking them off beautifully.
9th goal in his career. Played finals footy in his first game, and he's a big game player. He's shown that. Footy going one way and one way only at the moment. Fought off to Ashcroft. Deep again. Cats have to defend. Morris with a big leap that time. Rayner threatening. Big time underneath. He'll need the bounce. He gets the bounce. Oh, yes! Just... What a start for the Brisbane Lions. All their threats are firing, and the Cats have been stunned.
Let's go to the clearances. Let's just go straight to the clearances. 7-1, 3-zip out of the middle, 15-3 inside 50s. They are dominant right now, Brisbane, in every aspect of the game that you want to dominate. They are on top. It's a fantastic start. Could not have drawn up a better start than this.
Every time they get the ball defensive of centre, and you saw it there with Darcy Fort when he gets the ball back. It's that quick hand pass, release a runner and go.
The demeanour of the coach sometimes is a good indication of the way a team might play.
They're playing in his image at the moment.
4-2-1 behind, and it has stunned the locals who have turned out in huge numbers in a mood of celebration.
You throw Paddy in the middle.
Free kick, umpire contact.
Careless stuff in the middle.
Darcy Ford's going to take the kick. So what Sam Day's doing at one end of the ground is he's just engaging with blitz halves, and all he wants to do is, if he's in a long contest down the line, is get the ball to ground.
And against O'Connor, he saw it clearly enough. Fort sits it up. Knocked away from Bailey, gathered by O'Sullivan. Hand passes to Martin and back to O'Sullivan. Cats look for a bit of fluency. O'Connor, Stengel, just keep it going forward from a Cats perspective. Fort's going to get beaten to it. O'Sullivan still on the follow-up. Lester intervenes. He's happy to take it over.
Stunned, this crowd is stunned. Trying to lift the hometown team.
Cats coming off 5 consecutive victories and a 95-point win over Essendon. This is something very different.
Clearance again.
Against the stun Brisbane Lions who have lost their last 2. The Ashcrofts combined. Back to the wing. Morris so tidy in the air and underneath. Didn't miss the handball by much, but now Holmes and Duncan collectively go to work. Cats get an opportunity, a rare one. Cameron in front. Lester slowed him, didn't stop him. Knocked away Ainsworth, picked up by Holmes. Considered the handball, but instead tried to fire it to Paddy Dangerfield. You know what Andrews wanted to do. He's been able to achieve it somehow.
That was how to get it out of bounds without getting picked for delivery. Just make it look like a complete and utter terrible fumble.
The ball wouldn't
Like you're incompetent.
The ball wouldn't cooperate and get out.
It requires B-grade acting to get away with it these days. Atkins through the stoppage. 3 shots. No, and kicked out of mid-air by Dempsey into the post.
That was an outrageous, audacious attempt by Dempsey.
Quick release down to Fletcher. Close made him work hard, and in the end almost prevailed. Dempsey gets there. The umpire's paid a free kick to close.
Look at this. He flushed that into the post. They have gone really quick on point on kick-ins too, on a couple of occasions that we've seen it. Been really keen to get the ball moving quickly, Brisbane.
It's an extraordinary holding the ball decision.
So very
He never had possession of it.
but all close anyway. Into the square. And likely fly down there was Jack Martin.
So this clearance game early is getting it way out of control. Right now would be a good time to try and arrest it.
Paid the throw there, effectively.
Well, he fumbled it back in. He must have had hold of his jumper that we couldn't see.
Stanley and Fort. Atkins tries again. Once more, he almost gets through. Lester, there was danger in that kick. Atkins sets up Holmes. Everyone watches. He couldn't have kicked it much higher. Cameron and Dempsey always dangerous in that scenario. Neale, though, took the crumbs. Cleared the danger. Cameron challenged there by Humphries. Rayner reading it beautifully off the pack. It took a mighty effort from Holmes. He's given up the free, but at least he stopped the play. You can't believe the call. It's going to have to come back. It's against Max Holmes.
With good reason, I reckon.
Very briefly over the shoulder, and then he got it back down.
That's a Holmes free kick for mine.
Raiders ball. Lions survived their first period of defending. Some territory again up the line. Dunkley and Guthrie season away.
So they've been a pretty obvious style of play that Brisbane are adopting here. Get it in their forward half and then work overtime to turn it over. They've had 6 forward half intercepts already in this game.
Keep an eye on Lockie Neale. That's how he's moving off the footy. Skirmish. Will Ashcroft taken the ground by Holmes. Released. Stengel got around in the tackle. Myers slapped it onto the boot. Martin up to meet it. Uses Stengel. Uses Bailey Smith, and the possibilities multiply. Cheers the target. Cameron with Lester. Lester gave him a push. No whistle on the play. They fight at the top of the square. Lester hacks it straight to Atkins, who's been threatening for minutes on end.
They've done so well, Ryan Lester, until that final hack kick.
Well, and this is their style. Forward half intercepts as well. Jeremy Cameron's tried for the free kick and probably had a case. But the handball was off to the right there, and he just blasted away blindly.
Tom Atkins leading the competition for tackling and pressure acts. He's got 4 goals to his name this season. Cats need it desperately. Atkins has given the umpire something to look at and misses.
Well, he's been the most proactive and most likely to get a clearance.
Just keep an eye on Logan Morris at ground level as well, guys. He's just reached through his hamstring a couple of times, so we'll just wait and see.
Errant kick. It's Mitch Duncan, who sadly tried to settle the ball, but he landed it between 3 cats. And Berry, who clears to Neale, so we'll get a closer look at him here. Moves and kicks that one okay down to McCluggage. So they've dodged a few bullets here, the Lions, after starting so strongly. Not truly deserving their 23-point advantage as the kick sets on the wing. Day Hipwood came late, and with effect, Stewart got the ring around. Lions pressure, what a contrast to last week already.
Those intercept marks, I think, are real focus here. This is Lachie Neale we're keeping an eye on. He did sprint for that ball okay. I was watching pretty carefully. He didn't look to have a problem.
Ashcroft couldn't break away, just nibbles it forward for Neale, and things open up a little. They did until Atkins hunted him down.
Atkins in the face of this onslaught. He's the one that stood up here for the Cats, just trying to will the change of momentum.
Prepared to look for the corridor no matter what there is. They are ready to intercept anything, the Lions. Build that pressure up on the Cats' defence.
You're going to love what they're doing, Brisbane. So they're just sitting off. They're allowing those options to look like they're on, but they're close enough to get there and chop it off when they go for it. They're just teasing the Cats to use the corridor.
6 forward half intercepts for 2 goals so far.
Clear plan we've seen put into action.
Close 1 touch, Dangerfield 1 touch, Cameron 1 touch, Manor hasn't touched it, Neale hasn't touched it. The ball hasn't been in that forward 50 too often.
Just a little flex of the right leg.
Yeah, I wonder if he's going to get off and get it tested. The longer he stays out, the more worried you get.
Rucks engage. Haley Smith gets hold of it. Cats bring it to the wing. Dangerfield trying to get into the contest. Ball to ground. Cameron hit it hard. Lester's right on his hammer. Checks the kick for Neale. Cameron's still alive out the side if he wants. He doesn't.
Gee, how was the weight on that kick from Jeremy Cameron? 50 metres.
Right to the line against a miffed Zorko.
He ran through the protected area.
Shannon Neale gives the Cats a foothold in the game.
Well, the degree of difficulty that you alluded to, Jace, of all the things that he could have done, Jeremy Cameron, on the hard burst there, the hardest thing was to kick the ball that he kicked.
Just kick the ball straight up with the right weight so that the bloke running 5 metres inside him could run 15 and mark it. It was brilliant.
We'll get a look at the 50 in a moment. Dave Zorko, he's not immune to looking a bit bemused. And here's Shannon Neale. So watch the run on here and the touch kick from Cameron. He could have handballed it, by the way, but he thought, no, let me have a crack at kicking it. And it was good enough.
That's such a good kick.
So I've just got to see where Zorko comes from to the left there.
I haven't seen that.
Surely he's far enough away.
That is tough.
Rising back to 17.
Genuinely tough.
It's tough when they haven't really paid protected area free kicks for most of the year, and then you have that one where he was outside, borderline on the bubble.
Exactly, Jono. Stanley jumps early. Fort still prevails for the tap. That's Neale trying to crash through, and Atkins wearing him like a second skip.
They have up the ante, though. The Cats, like a good team should. The response is coming after being absolutely blasted off the park early.
And Atkins has been at the forefront of it all. Fort couldn't quite. Stanley does his best. Cats clog it up. Pressure remains.
Tom Atkins, 7 touches, 5 contested. He's just putting his head in the hole here, saying, come with me.
Stanley and Fort. Connor, Morena. It's will not prevail. Humphries has a good vantage point, but the ball had a mind of its own. Mullen tried to scoot away. Cameron, they're all on their defensive best to create opportunities in that forward half. He put Humphries all the way to the line. Just over 2 minutes remaining. Lions with the first 4 goals. Keep a keen eye on Lachie Neale. The Cats finally hitting the board. Moment to go with Shannon Neale.
Tim Stewart takes up position on Will Ashcroft. Will has it. And past to Berry, squeezed it forward. O'Sullivan saw it coming. Now the rising star class of this season pumps it long down the line. Stengel's got a big task. Andrews kills it into the crowd.
Does a great job. Sees it so early. Does so early, Harris Andrews. Got off his man, Neale, and killed the contest.
He just had a wry smile. I think he was debating, should I have marked that? I had to run and jump at it, but I killed it instead. But they've got momentum. You'd love to see him take that mark and then try and quickly turn it around again.
Berry's decided in hindsight he should have marked it. Back to the source we go. Lions have been dominant here and again. Berry out in front of Will Ashcroft coming the other way. Henry did a good job once, twice, onto the boot. Manor with a chance to send the Cats to halfway. Puts it out in front of Neale. Dangerfield up to it, no space.
I think the pressure's been really impressive since Brisbane Lions front half. There hasn't been much easy ball coming out from the Geelong defenders.
Brisbane's pressure, so spoken about during the week, probably internally as well. An outlier last week, they've dialed it up. Stanley out in front of O'Connor. Got his kick away. Dangerfield trying to get out the back.
Of course he was going to have a moment before quarter time, Jared.
He'd be a brave man to think he's going to be denied in game 350. He'll find a way to will himself into this contest, and particularly when the Cats desperately need it, he'll go back with the flow of the ball, doesn't care what's coming. Big kick now. This will send the crowd into raptures.
It is a tough kick.
First career kick was a goal. As a schoolboy then, he's an elder statesman and an icon of the game in game 350. Patrick Dangerfield, let's fly. That's not it.
Spoke to us through the week, Jared, about the fact that playing forward, he's got to get his head around. He's had 2 touches, so as a midfielder all his life, now he realises that he might only get 2 or 3 chances a quarter, and that was one of them that he just wasn't able to capitalise on.
Last 40 seconds of a fascinating opening term. Fought the Flyers, a whistle out of that. Which way is it going? To Brisbane? To Dunkley? You can hear the reaction around the stadium as that realisation sets in. So it'll be the Lions with an opportunity perhaps for a last score.
So that inside 50 was at 15-3, Jace, at one stage.
Yes.
So the Geelong have had 7 of the last 9, so they have turned it around.
And they're getting a bit more possession, but still, there's no fluency in their game at the moment.
Lions will be 10-5 for first quarters after this. They were amazing starters last year. High ball over Lohmann. And that time was the Geelong whistle. Time will be the essence here. It's only 14 seconds. Jack Henry. So you just go along and give it one last crack. Down the line, searching for Dangerfield. It never arrives. Berry's been good at the opening term. Most of the Lions have. Berry, his 10th disposal, if he gets it away from Jared Berry. So what a fine start. Brisbane, who have been good on the road this year, have bought their very best on a huge Friday night, intent on spoiling the Cats' party. What a start we've had already. Perth last night, Geelong tonight, a big round 15, and at the end of it come Monday as always. It'll be huge on AFL 360.
All right, there we go, folks. 8 quarter time here down here at the GMHBA Stadium down here at the Cattery. It's the Brisbane Lions. They've jumped out of the boxes, firing 4-2-26. The Putty Cats, well, they're just purring a little bit at the moment. They're still snuggled up on the couch. 1-3-9. Whew. So Lions by 17. I'll tell you what, this isn't actually a bad game. I know that's 17 points of difference, and people out there thinking, well, the Lions are just going to be too good tonight. They're going to run away with this game. Isn't that right, Addy G? But tell you what, wait for the Cats. They'll get a little bit back on their terms, not too far away, I'm sure of it, and the game will certainly tighten up. But a fantastic opening quarter. Emmanuel, it was. Fresh links, shouty, Tina, how you doing? Welcome in, B3. Everyone in the live chat. I tell you what, it's going to be tight. 53% tipping Brisbane, 47%. There we go. Now it's 50% in the poll. We still can't choose. Akbal, Jawad, how you doing? Show the match. I'd love to show the match, but unable to due to copyright. It's against the rules to actually show the vision, unfortunately, or else I'd be showing it. I'd love to show it. Hey, before we go any further, Brisbane Cats fans, look away. There is the live ladder. That is the ladder where they sit. Geelong second, Brisbane third prior to this game, 40 points, 38. Brisbane half a game behind the Cats. The Cats win, they just about go top of the ladder. Brisbane win, they go second. Let's turn the live ladder on. That's what it looks like. Brisbane jumping up into second, Cats down to third if it stays this way. Before we go any further, there we go. It's about a 5-minute break, and then we'll be back into the action. Congrats for Freo. Cheers, go Freo. Yay, live ladder. I missed, Freo are still there. They're still sitting in 6. Hey, the ins and outs for these teams I didn't get to, fellas. For the Cats, Oliver Henry coming in. He'll be a welcome addition. Sam DeConey going out. 2 milestone gains for 2 star players down there. Tyson Stengel playing his 100th. But the man of the moment, Paddy Dangerfield, 350 games. Well done, Paddy. Paddy the Dangerfield, 350 games. What a huge milestone. There we go for the Brisbane Lions. Coming into their squad, Darcy Gardner, Will McLaughlin going out, of course. 2 key components to their side, Jack Payne and Callum Archie. I tell you what, they're going to be tough to field. What do you mean you can't go up the ladder? Well, you mightn't be able to go up the ladder, but you can stay. Hey, let's just have a quick glance. Let me reload this up. Let's have a look at the goal scorers for the game so far, quarter time. Of course, all single goal scorers. And let's have a look at, let's go through the Geelong's goal scorers for the moment. Shannon Neale's got a single. And that is all. Brisbane Lions, though, Darcy Wilmot, Cam Rayner, Kyle Lohmann, and Levi Ashcroft. They are your goal scorers. Jared Berry, the ball magnet, out on the ground for Brisbane so far with 10. Josh Dunkley, 9. Will Ashcroft, 8. Cam Rayner, well, that's a surprise to see him up in the possessions. Normally he's super slow. But he's up there in 4th with 7 disposals, 3 clearances, a goal. Well done. Maxie Holmes, tell you what, we're looking for a big game from him as always. And Bailey Smith, 7 and 6, the 2 guns. There's Zorko working hard with 5. As I said, let's just roll down. We'll see you ours. Tyson Stengel, just a 4 touches, 1 behind. He's got to get up there. Hugh McCluggage, hey, Bags. Just a 4 touches for him so far. And, of course, we'll get down to man of the moment, Paddy Dangerfield. Just the 2 touches, 2 kicks, 2 marks. Did have a shot on goal, but just sprayed it out to the right and out of bounds on the full. There we go. They are your, let me just put it up. Hey, let me just have a quick look at the team stats because I know it's pretty level. Although Brisbane were on top, they were plus 10 in the disposal count. Inside 50s, Brisbane certainly doing it there. It was just 10 inside 50s for the Cats in the opening term. 18 inside 50 to the Lions in the opening term. Hey, let's have a look at the free kicks because it's a little bit, it's a little bit strangely umpired if you're actually watching the game. Holy Toledo Batman, there's some strange decision, but it is 5-7. It's plus 2 to the Lions. Geelong fans not happy with that. There we go. Hey, let's just quickly duck down. We see the clearances, centre clearances, Brisbane Lions dominating 4-0. The other clearances are not too much in that. Contested, pretty tight. Going to be a contested game, these 2 grade sides. I just want to have a little bit of a look. That's good numbers for both teams, both hitting their forwards there, both 3 marks inside forward 50 in the opening turn. I just want to have a duck down, have a look at the tackles. Geelong only the 11, so it's a low scoring tackle game for them. They want to lift their pressure a little bit. a little bit more for the Lions. Lions already on 16, doing well. 2 inside 50 tackles. Come on, the Cats. You need to get that done inside your forward 50 and around the ground. Get your tackle pressure up. Hit it back up to around the 200 mark. Just for Addy G there. Fremantle, they can go up. Although, have you Fremantle got the bye this week? They've either got the bye or they're playing. I just can't remember. There we go. So not all. But I tell you what, there's still a chance at the top 4. There we go. Hey, that's enough for me. Let's get back down to the action. Bounce the ball for the second quarter, whereas the Lions by 17.
Quarters. Geelong starts 17 points adrift at the start of the second term this Friday night. Stanley, beautiful tap down to Bailey Smith. The entry will come quickly. Too strong for Neale. Chases it back to no avail.
That's their first in-bounds clearance for the game, so they were absolutely dominated, particularly in the first 20 minutes around clearance.
Thank you.
Atkins showed the way late in that opening term. And Smith and Holmes to go with him. Zach Bailey's after the footy against the boundary. It's a loose hand pass. Holmes with not much space. He used it well to Atkins. Tossed it up. Who's coming? Jez has a fly. Andrews made the spoil into open space. Wilmot clears the area. A well-weighted ball. It won't get to the boundary. Stewart will arrive first. Spins away from Rayner. Nice move. Here's Bailey Smith in centre field. Howley set the Cats up. Laterally, Jack Martin, the kicker. Gives it a roost. Dangerfield's got everyone against him. He got dragged out of it.
Well, he didn't have to do it. That's what he'd be most disappointed with there, because Harris Andrews had come off his man and Starcevic just had to stand up in the contest. So you see Harris coming, Darcy Ford coming, had front position and trying to do the right thing, protect his man, but overcompensate.
Comes around the corner, misses.
Sorry, Joe. She nearly missed the big moment.
The new fad.
The new one, yeah, got me.
Sharply back in from Zorko. Wilmot uncomfortably but effectively takes the mark. He too covered in the middle of the ground. Can't take it. Instead, he tried to kick the perfect kick to McCluggage. Fell just short. Smith. Here he comes again, Dangerfield. Almost. Stengel. The pickup was impressive, but that pressure remains. Neale tries to have a run of it. Answorth comes in and tries to close out. Wilmot as well. No one can get hold of that darn footy. Now they get it out, but not too far. Smith, blind handball, and so it proves. Levi Ashcroft back to the wing. Stewart eyes it off. Doesn't mark it, and is under immediate pressure from Rayner. And now Day tried to place it in front of Hipwood. Predicted well by Henry, who was the Cats' extra back. He was the loose on guard for such moments.
Just the right kick from Sam Day. Needs to take ground, go long down the line, try and kick the space, give him a chance to set up and try and kick the ball inside their forward half.
I was thinking the chip and charge, wasn't he, Jace?
Yeah, it wasn't on that one. And to be really honest, he doesn't have the same touch that Jeremy Cameron has, Jeremy.
Lions by 16 points. Early stages of this second term. Stanley control it once and twice. McCluggage has first access. Turns his way out of trouble. Searching for the right kick. Rayner is that. Bailey got breaking. Dempsey made the spoil and onto the ricochet came Myers, a grubber. And as far as Zorko, he does have the kick that was on in the first place. Day lets Will Ashcroft dart inside the 50. It hung for a while. He got there in time.
Well, Brian Myers has had a celebrated run with his ball use. He's shanked 2 horrible, probably the 2 worst kicks of his career. And this occasion, he's going to pay a price with another shot at goal coming back the other way. Cam Rayner trying to engage Tom Stewart. It's a really fascinating matchup. He's had a couple of moments where he's been able to get off Stewart. And Ashcroft just ran with the fly of the foot. He didn't flinch.
He was the fineliner in the third term of the Gabba earlier in the season when the Lions came from 32 points down. Will Ashcroft gives it his best. It's a lovely looking shot. And the Lions get the first of the second term. The lead builds to 22.
And importantly now they're starting to take opportunities, put scoreboard pressure on the Cats. We saw them miss their first couple of kicks and they were pretty much regulation set shots, but now it feels like the monkey's off the back. They're starting to hone in on the big sticks. Rayner picked the right option in the middle of the ground, but he had the kick smothered, and that was the opportunity presented to Brian Myers. He turns it over again, and then Zorgo knows that Day is still out there. Look at the hard running from Ashcroft into space.
There, Jack Martin's not going to want to see that again. Jack Martin was side by side with Ashcroft at the back of the goal square, and Ashcroft just ran, and it took Jack Martin 3 seconds to realise what had happened. By the time there's Martin on the right of screen there, if he went a little bit further back, and he was 60 metres away before he realised.
Great steadying goal for the Lions at the start of the second. Smith can't escape at all the clutches of Ashcroft. Martin's handball not perfect, but O'Sullivan tidying it up. Great dexterity, and then there's a standoff inside 50, and the free kick is going against Neale. He's just only ever so slightly out of position.
He's been great, Harris Andrews. He's been outstanding in the absence of pain and, of course, the late withdrawal of Gardner. He's just taken the responsibility, Harris.
Quite sure what extra Harris Andrews wanted there. And by saying, I did pay it. Answorth. Get out to the wing. Lions have an extra number at this contest, and Rayner with the surge in the air. Day had it pitched away by Atkins. He turned and had to turn back. Didn't like what he saw, so they're being pinned out at half back. Dempsey's kick is crafty and opens up close. And from the wing, he has Shannon Neale calling long. Instead, it's another poor entry, so shallow. And Wilmot standing staunchly in front of Cameron takes the mark, and the Cats run aground.
They just continue to sit 5 metres off, and they tease kicks for the Cats to attempt, and then they just swoop in and turn it over.
Wilmot gets right under the kick. Set hip with a task. Punched away from him. Ground ball. Martin's onto it. Lohmann for company. Atkins the tidy up. Another touch for the Cats. And Andrews to Riley for his taller opponent. Spreads it off to Levi Ashcroft. Works the lines on Bailey. Has McLaughlin out wide. Traps it. Searching for the right target. Cameron trying to get out the back. 2 against. They do enough, the Cats defenders.
We talked about this Geelong forward line pre-game. They've had a horror start to this match. They're getting out-marked. Oh, there's some famous, one of the most famous of all, the former skipper Joel Selwood. Great to see him here. But Harris Andrews has got Shannon Neale right where he wants him, and the ball use of Close and Myers in this first quarter and a bit, it's just like nothing was seen from them.
It is fantastic to see him here. Stanley gets the fist down again. It's abruptly out of Martin's hands. Smith to the outside. The Cats fire Mullen along the wing. Neale and Andrews again. It could become an issue for Geelong. In previous encounters, Ollie Henry has played the defensive role on Harris Andrews. So
this is a great challenge for Shannon Neale. He's had a fantastic couple of weeks, and now he's got to work his way through this. And this is where Jeremy Cameron can help him as well. He can take the key role and try and push Harris Andrews away.
Stanley trying to get to the front, fought it out there. Stanley had the footy momentarily. Atkins with another clearance, no penetration about it. O'Connor did his work early.
This is where they haven't been able to connect, Jared. This is where Brisbane have been outstanding in trying to close off any openings and cut them off and turn the footy over.
50 against Charlie Cameron, who came over the mark. Nick Subs moved to a promising position. Another test for the forwards. Give them a look deep. With the flight, Jeremy Cameron. Fierce.
Just summed this up so well. He summed it up beautifully, Jeremy Cameron, because he saw the two engage in the wrestle. Now, he will go around the corner, so be very careful not to talk over the top of it. But when we have a look at the replay, he just realised there were two stationary under the ball, and he said, I'll have a piece of that.
He is in a rich vein of goal-kicking form, Jeremy Cameron. Checks the shot clock to add to his mountain of recent goals. Jeremy Cameron strikes, extends his lead in the Coleman and narrows the deficit on a Friday night. Can you look at the form that he's been in before you go here and what he's done over the past 5 weeks with a donut in there? 7 against Port Adelaide when he ran a muck play. 6 against the Bulldogs on a feature Thursday night, 5 against West Coast, who he had at his mercy. He was too wet the night against Gold Coast, and then he stepped right up with 6 against the Bombers.
Yeah, he's in a rich vein of form, Jason. I love the way that he summed this ball up when it was in the air and went for the mark. Wayne Carey's the best I ever saw at this. He's running with a flight in the air here, but he sums it up and says, "Oh, Carmen Harris is stuck." He was stuck. He got lost in the transition there. Fantastic from Jeremy Cameron.
You know, he can get hot quickly too. That is his 100th goal at Kivinia Park. Just to add to his list of milestones. 45th goal for the season for Jeremy Cameron. Centre bounce, tapped out forward, but Atkins has been clearly their best mid. Back to Stanley, and now Holmes, and the Cats start to get going. Streaking out of the middle with a bounce. Loading it up. Stengel didn't know whether to fly or not. They got through to Neale. Andrews between the legs almost, and that's thrown away by Berry. More a slip than a throw. Fletcher handled it better. Answorth cleared the immediate danger. Copping it was Bailey from the side. Holmes. Cats playing with more energy now. Myers with a kick into the 50. Again, it's a slider and hard to collect. Not so hard for Answorth, who does well and gets it out. Myers is furious with himself.
A breather. Andrew Smith, Patrick Dangerfield.
Bit of salary cap there.
Fair bench. .16 margin. Cats in a concerted mode of attack. Fort able to clear for the Lions. Tossed it forward. Hipwood tries to trap and does creatively. Dunkley got overworked. Hipwood towed it on. It opens the chance for Morris. Every yard counts. Duncan against the flow. Spills out momentarily. Hipwood's got a mind to make something of it. Body's flying everywhere. O'Connor's the last to hold it.
Great effort, Eric Hipwood. 1 against 2, 1 against 3. Just have to hold it up, stay in the contest. Geelong have kicked 2 points from turnover. That's how well they're defending the ball at the moment, Brisbane.
Dunkley being held.
Coming up for possession number 10, Josh Dunkley.
Off to Fletcher. Kept it low. Gave them a chance. Brooklyn was the flyer initially. Morris tried to hand it back to him. That's O'Sullivan. And then Duncan. He's captured. And rocking away inside the front 50 again, the Lions. Reece Stanley resting forward for Geelong at the moment. So blitz hards with the ruck duties. Grabbed it out of the ruck. Ruck and go. Back to the middle. Cameron didn't try and mark. Stanley takes it. Nothing between him and the goals. He just couldn't pick up the Sharon. Stengel arrives. It all gets a little more difficult until a brilliant hands to close. And the connection with Cameron just wasn't quite there. That sums it up for the Cats so far tonight.
Just starting to look a lot more threatening every time they go forward, the Cats. They've evened up the territory battle.
Despite the pressure Brisbane continued to apply. Stanley rucking. Tapped it to close. Lions were ready. Neale already into his turn. And knew where to direct it next. Clutter into Fletcher. Is that where they're 50? It most certainly is. He takes it, wants to get it going as soon as he can.
Set a great tone early, Fletcher, with his defensive efforts. Bites off the kick. Sets Berry into space. Has a look at the 50, not his best. Dempsey saw it coming.
So that's overcompensated there, Jared. That's their unwillingness to go too strong down the line. So he just bit off too much, trying to get it away from their key defenders. But Ollie Dempsey is that winger coming in and covered off really well.
Not much to work with. Humphries found Stewart right in front of the interchange gates. A chance to take the kick up the line and land it for Neale, who arrived but couldn't quite hang on. Could have been placed better for him.
Again, Andrews just cutting the angles there. The support from Leicester. So the back six is holding up it well. Kept the Cats to 2 goals in a quarter and a half. They'll take that all night long.
Rucks form up again. And then going to the front. Kovic keeps Bailey Smith away from it.
They average 101 points a game this year, Geelong. He's kicked 2 goals so far, so the efforts from Brisbane have been rewarded.
Protest has been launched. Summarily dismissed. Sherrod fought the second touch. Dunkley, McCluggage flicked it out. Levi Ashcroft to Will. Beautifully back to Levi. Crafty stuff. He'll land it out near half forward. Cameron knocked it to his own advantage. What can Charlie find up ahead? He couldn't get past O'Sullivan, who reached out and dragged him down. It goes unrewarded.
That is a great defensive effort. O'Sullivan, most would have been stood up there by Charlie Cameron. He was off and running. Fortunately, he was able to get a little left-hand pass out, which didn't cost a free kick, but great defensive work.
Funnily enough, the replay didn't convince the crowd, but you did see the handball, so identified what the umpire saw. The Ashcrofts again involved. He's tossed the kicker. Easy fodder for Zach Guthrie. And quickly, the lateral kick to try and open up the other side. Jack Henry, his brother the sub tonight, off to Myers. Seen his kicks further afield, which have misfired. That one does connect with Bledsoe's. And he got some right cheers.
Some Bronxies.
Amazing. To half forward. Free kick goes against Neale, so
He's getting frustrated.
he's being affected, he's being frustrated.
1v1s that Harris Andrews has prevailed. He hasn't been at his absolute best this year in 1v1s, but he is tonight. He's having an outstanding night.
He's conceded 28 goals, the second most in the competition. 6 of those were last week, so you wouldn't be surprised if he had a bit of extra steel like his team tonight. Myers at close quarters got the handball away. Fletcher again trying to create. How's the umpire going to read this one? No mercy at all.
But gee, they're making it hard for Geelong to transition, to move the footy. They're just so alert here. We look all over the ground to how well they're defending the spaces.
O'Sullivan up the line. Neale burst through his fingers for the first time. He got free of Andrews. He couldn't make anything of it. Starcevic coming back the other way. Hitwood sets himself against 3, and O'Sullivan soaring again. And a 50 for the protected zone.
He's a player, this kid. Every time you watch him, he just gets better and better.
He'll just about be in range to have a shot now. Last couple of forays forward, they haven't got the contest in the air that they've needed.
It's the off-the-line stuff that they had going early in the piece, Chase. This is the reason they don't want to go long down the line. They haven't got really super strong representation.
Hasn't kicked a goal in his league career yet. Game number 15 tonight. Pick 11, 2023. Right up in all rising star contemplations. Connor O'Sullivan from a long way out, kicked it like a defender.
Wow.
And you can't miss by much further than that. Levi Ashcroft around to Leicester, searching for a target on the way out, which is not definitely there, although the ricochet lands well, and Will Ashcroft sends it to Hipwood, who's on his own. He's got Morris deep. He'll chance his arm. Morris sets himself. Henry against. Morris had under control.
Well, it was a good kick from Hipwood in the end. I don't know why he was calling Morris to lead up at him, because Morris was 10 metres out the back.
It's a great maturity of Morris's, though, is it to say, no, here, I'll tell you where to kick it. This is where I want the ball to come.
He's going to go around the corner here.
Career high last week, 5 goals. And all that he did against Taylor and Buckley. Logan Morris to open his account tonight. And just push the Cats away again. 22-point lead for the Lions.
Well, 11-6 inside 50s this quarter to the Cats. So they've only been inside 56 times, Brisbane, in their second quarter, and they've kicked 2 goals. So they take that chase. It's got harder, and you'd expect it against this Geelong team. They're an outstanding unit, and it's starting to get harder, and they're not going to shy away from it.
Watch Hipwood here. He's saying, come up at me. Come up. Come on. Come up.
And
he's in no position to come up. There's only one option there.
He's saying come up to the spot that Jack Henry's defending.
Yeah.
Logan Morris said, I'm not going there. You kick it over the back.
He is very good in the air. It was interesting. We spoke to Harris Andrews pre-game. He said he's not that big physically, but he's an athlete, he's mobile, and he takes the ball at the highest point.
Went to school just down the road at McKillop in Werribee. Logan Morris, what an impact he's had. Basically in 12 months of football. Youngest player in the grand final. And he's only getting better, and the Lions stretch the margin. Cat's back at work, Blitzo. So Dangerfield's gone into the middle. The button has been pushed. Cross to Mullen and back again. Oh. Walk talk to half forward. Close. Can't escape. It's been a common theme.
They didn't win a centre bounce clearance in the first quarter, Geelong. They've won all 4 in their second quarter. So the change is really discernible here.
Could be a couple of players out there with broken fingers right about now after that kick. One of the great floaters.
Atkins again found a way to get it clear and deep to Cameron. Neale forced to defend. Manor onto the boot in no time at all. Maybe he needed to take a little longer. The Cats.
That was an amazing clearance from Atkins. He was on the ground, traffic all around him. He just grabbed it, stood up and burst out of there.
Been terrific, hasn't he?
He's handling the footy like a few others out there, isn't he? 13 disposals to lead all comers. Ashcroft and Berry with 12. In fact, both Ashcrofts with 12 for the Lions.
Can the Cats make something of it? Held to just a couple of goals so far. Fought down to McCluggage. Wobbles it outside the defensive area. Duncan slips.
The other thing that's super impressive about Tom Atkins, you mentioned his 13 possessions, he's going head-to-head with Lachie Neale, who's had 5. So he is completely dominating that battle at the moment.
Taking the time on of the second term. It serves the soft tap, Neale onto it, dragged down by Dangerfield, but serves dispossessed, ball still to be won. Answorth committed himself.
Paddy's just inserted himself, whether by the coach's instruction or his own, but he's just started to, he needs to get a sweat up, I think, and he's starting to get to work.
Holding Brisbane. 4.
Rock free kick paid. Tennessee fought, like a ruckman should, hands it off. Fletcher to Andrews on the expansive switch. Buries the outlet.
It's been good, Berry. He's got Ollie Dempsey out on that outer wing. He's had a heap of footy early. He had 10 touches in the first quarter.
Pretty stagnant play. They're all manned up, so a kick to a contest. Lohmann fancies another fly. Henry got there across the front. Off hands out of play.
Oh, Lohmann takes exception with the words that O'Connor expressed on the way through. Back he goes again. 22 points to the margin, so they've had the better of the second term as well. At least on the scoreboard. Rucks jewel it out again. McCluggage having a sensational season. Getting close to 200 games himself. Another towing kick. The sliding Lohmann marking in front of Martin. Careful not to give away the 50. The quick movement to Zorko. Sharp off half back. Cameron had Malamu on it, but the Irishman would not be denied.
Great score. How often do you see Charlie Cameron just work his opponent under the footy and take a mark over the back? Mullen just stays in the contest and gets a pure fist on it.
He's looked pretty sharp tonight, Charlie, but Mullen has stuck close. Cameron on the move. Mullen a slight fumble. Lohmann ekes out a kick towards goal. Henry safe and sound. Knew he could take the chest back. So it takes the risk out and then goes short to Stewart.
Another Cats field. Bailey Smith. Not much to work with, as you can well see. So along to the contest. Blitzarves and Neale, the two there for the Cats. Harris Andrews.
He's having his way with Shannon Neale.
Yes, he was. Inboard to McCluggage, was pretty eager to get going. Gives them a look. Lohmann's on the lead. Perfect ball.
Well, it was a good kick. That's where the space was. And as soon as McCluggage turned there, it just begged for one of the Brisbane forwards to present. Lohmann the first to understand what was going on. And it's a beautiful kick.
22-year-old kicked 4 goals in a grand final. It's a premiership in game number 35. And he has leapt his way back to form tonight. Lining up for his second goal. It's the post.
It's a couple of pretty regulation set shots that he's missed that could take his game to another level.
They won 3 in that preliminary last year. It really did hit the post. It's still going at the moment. Little handoff in the end to Mitch Duncan. Sub last week. Didn't quite get enough length on the kick. And Eric, what a mark.
That is a magnificent forward half intercept.
Improvised beautifully. Stewart tries to win it back, but
It's been a feature of their whole game, right from the word go, is their awareness and their ability to come off at the right time and keep the ball in their front half.
we had to go back last week, Eric Hipwood. Probably didn't have a great time of it. But defensive traits there. Lots of questions for Chris Scott to ponder as we get closer to half-time. Brisbane pressing again. Free kick going to Catsway this time is rooted by the local fans. Reece Stanley ignores the wrapping around of Bailey Smith, so now he has to kick himself. No obvious option. Gets the directions to go long down the line. Harris Andrews, Dangerfield, Sorko. Just overshoots the handball. And it's back out again.
He said to Chris Fagan, half time comes around, or they're 4 minutes away, and you've got Geelong at 2 goals. I think he would have taken that all night long. They've been outstanding in this front half.
2 goals to 1 the Lions' way in this second term thus far. Stanley worked his way around. Wilmot, though, has the footy. Will Ashcroft, Starcevic as the pressure closed in. Wilmot, he's hot. Released it well, too. And on the follow-up, got it himself. Full improvisation. Wilmot to the teeth of goal. Days spoiled away by Henry.
Yeah, good Darcy Wilmot. Magnificent improvisation.
He gives the Lions a look deep. Biggest lead thus far is 25. It stands at 23. Neale Fossicking taken to ground by Atkins. Yeah, you can make your own judgment on that.
Can rehearsal too. Atkins, what a night he's had. Who would the Cats be without him so far? Sneaky little hands to Stewart. Along the line again. Dangerfield just cruising. Probably spoiled Jack Martin in the end. He'll learn off to close. They've got to the wing, but another mismatched kick. It's gone out on the full anyway, but Tyson Stengel not on the same wavelength at all as Patrick Dangerfield.
They turned the footy over again. The Brisbane Lions done a great job. Geelong have scored 2 points from turnover, on track to be their equal worst quarter on record in an opening half.
Luggage fires one into the corridor again. Mark taken by Berry. There's plenty of possibilities out wide. Drifting forward is McLaughlin. Being tailed by Humphreys. Just released the tackle at the right moment. And the ball goes over and out. And Humphreys gets the accolades this time. Brisbane really threatening here to punish the Cats. The pacing of the coach.
Did he make some ground, Humphreys? Situation that looked lost for the Cats defenders. Tangle in the ruck. Bit happening just underneath.
One thing, as does Charlie Cameron, is he's been on the move a lot more than perhaps he has in the first half of this year, which makes it hard to defend, and you can tend to grab a bit, get a bit nervous, and you win yourself a free kick.
Single figure touches the past 3 weeks. He gives Lohmann another fly. Underneath, Morris trying to search for something inboard. Didn't come off. Duncan's there. Lohmann brings him down. And able to release, but stacks on. Brisbane threatening, heading to half-time. Martin first access at the stoppage. Bumps it down the wing. Neale trying for Stengel. Holmes was there as well. Stengel found his way through. Duncan's the runner on the near wing. Numbers are inboard. That's where he stays. Manor on the turn. Wrong foot's Answorth. Sets the Cats up deep. Cameron coming from the side. Couldn't mark. Holmes tackled by Lester. Stopped in his tracks. Stengel's a chance. Couldn't get clear of Zorko. Cameron's a chance. Cheers snaps his second. By hook or by crook.
Gee, they worked hard for it. Brisbane aren't giving anything up. They have been superb from a defensive perspective in the first half, and it looked like they were going to deny the Cats again then, but they found a way to keep it alive, and in the end, Jeremy Cameron able to get that final hand pass and somehow sling it through off the boot as he then was under pressure.
Yeah, have a look at this. There's nothing fluid about it. It's just been a bit of the story of the night. So we've been so used to coming down here to watch Geelong play, and everything's just slick and precise. And to this stage, it looks okay, and then it's just hard work, and you get to work. And the defence of Brisbane's been outstanding all night. Less than Illy marks, lays a big tackle on Dangerfield. So Jeremy Cameron he gets tackled, Stickle, and then Jeremy Cameron's able to slot one through. So 17 points behind at half-time. At this stage, they'd take, I reckon, given what we've seen play out.
In the end, it was by hook, his second goal. Stanley underneath again. The raging ball that is Patrick Dangerfield. Well sent to by McCluggage. Instead, it's Rayner who got it across to Dunkley. Slams it forward. Atkins made a contest. He had to. McCluggage hungry. Brilliant to Rayner. Sleight of hand. The goal is ahead. And the kick is going to slide. It stayed truish. Just the wrong side of the post.
You talk about Tom Atkins' job on Neale. So Neale started outside the centre square then, and Rayner was the one that started in. And he's the one that can spark it like that.
3 goals neat. Guthrie finds Bailey Smith. Special number 14 coming up. This is it to Mullen and wraps around to get it back. So 15 for Smith. Jams it up the line, turns it over. Zorko knocked over by Stanley.
Great pressure again, Charlie Cameron. Enough pressure to get a turnover.
Give Morris a jump this time. Almost the second grab. McCluggage outside of the ball. Couldn't. Could. Hugh McCluggage with a moment of inspiration.
Well, he made the goal umpire. Well, I thought he'd missed there for a moment, and they'd missed a golden opportunity. They had 3-on-1. Yep. Just needed to draw and give the hand pass up. I'm glad he kicked it, Gaz.
Yeah, the kicker, Jace.
Boy.
And it's a fantastic response here. So the turnover was on the back of some pressure from Cameron. Just enough to get Bailey Smith to turn it over. And then here, there's handballs on everywhere there, but Huey McCluggage is good enough to get it on the outside of his boot and put him back to 4 goals, which is about more like the margin they deserve.
Even found a Brisbane supporter in the crowd.
So who's that in support there? Oh, Charlie.
And Ashcroft out to the right. It was all on his own.
But you go back to that Cameron chase. It was an absolute, not a token chase, on to Bailey Smith, who was looking for the 1-2. And then Smith on the left foot turns a footy over. 6 goals from turnover to 2 points.
Playing into the prime of his career. Holmes just getting to that point. Off to Dempsey. Late thrust from the Cats. O'Connor steps up and he's told quickly by his teammates. Single figures.
Oh, this will be a massive bonus in the last 20 seconds to win a clearance, go forward, find a mark, and then kick a goal after the siren.
So Mark O'Connor, just 10 goals in his AFL career. His 9th season. He is having a career best year. And his team needs him. And he's so close to being able to deliver. The Wints said it all. The Cats with so much work to do at half-time. The first 2 quarters have belonged to the Brisbane Lions. It's a 23-point lead. Quick thought, Jason?
Oh, super impressive. I think they caught them on the hop early. The Cats have fired back, but they haven't been able to get the game back on their terms. All Brisbane in the first half, but a big half still to come.
So Ben Dixon, what a half for the Brisbane Lions.
Massive half. It's toing and froing now after a fast start from Brisbane. Welcome to Friday Night Footy on France, brought to you by Industry Super Fund. When it comes to super, there's only one symbol to show. The first half was interesting. We just saw there the Cats, after those 2 goals, or 1 goal and a point, was staring down their worst half since 1999. So they did fight back, and Brisbane responded there with McCluggage. But thoughts on the first half?
Oh, the Lions came out with a really clear game plan. They wanted to make Geelong's defenders accountable. They would trigger handballing and getting the ball, sometimes willy-nilly. You know, we saw an errant kick from Zorko early, but the intent was really clear. If they're going to make a mistake, they were going to make a mistake as close to their goals as they possibly could, and they put the Geelong backs under real pressure. They were able to nullify Holmes and Smith to an extent. And they've brought the game into a contest, which is away from where Geelong have really enjoyed it in the first part of this year, which is out in the open.
Let's have a look at our first half highlights. Thanks to Harvey Norman, and it was the line intercepts. Brandy, they got off to a flyer. We knew Darcy Gardner was out, Payne was going to be out. It was like, okay, how are they going to respond?
Yeah, they had to be chips in. All the players. They had to anticipate really well, which they did defensively. They came up high. They were ready to go. They were on their toes. This is what you need to do. And yes, they got some front half intercepts. They got intercepts all over the field. Look at that. Darcy Wilmot's just the ability to read that and finish that goal. I thought Harris Andrews was brilliant, especially as the game wore on. He ended up taking a few intercept marks. I think he's taken 12 as the team.
Yeah, I think we've spoken about reading the cues, and what that means is watching the kicker in his eyes and understanding where Geelong really want to go. They'll sell it to you down the line, but you see a few times Myers trying to kick it back across his body. And Geelong were. I think this has been a big win for the coaching box of Brisbane. I think you can get caught up in the tricks that Geelong play, but I reckon they've scouted them really well. They've focused on the things that they need to focus on and allowed the energy to come through, which came through in the first quarter and a half.
Well, anytime, like say, that's 6 goals, 3 from turnover for the Lions, just 0-2. Yeah, 2 points sole scoring for Geelong from their turnover. That's a massive win to be able to, especially for a team like Geelong, which have prioritised the transition game over clearance.
And that tells you, we spoke about pre-game, didn't we? Yeah, that's been the narrative for the Lions the last few weeks, but especially this week. And Fags Bristles has it at it, but 28 tackles wasn't good enough against GWS last week. So the pressure's ramped right up. We spoke about when the Lions midfield come to hunt, they're hard to play against, and that's what they've done tonight.
They've played with great energy.
Yeah.
And they're hard to punish, though, the Cats, aren't they? And Brisbane have actually got it on their turn.
Absolutely. I think we saw a couple of times with Sorko. You know, you grab the ball at half back. They want to move the ball on quickly because we understand that ground at GMHBA is hard to get out of your back half. So they've wanted to play with pace, with ball in hand, especially off their half back, which has given them forward opportunities. Lohmann's looked lively. He could have had sort of 3 or 4 goals in the first half, but it's a big tick for the first half for Brisbane.
One role I think's been exceptional is Cam Rayner. Like they've actually asked him to play, it's similar to the Sean Manor role. So he's gone from forward and he's found himself in at clearance and in at stoppage. I thought his first 10 minutes was dominant. He really did set the game up, and how clean have their hands been to get from the inside to the outside. And Rayner's role of, we saw this intercept mark, but his role of being able to get up into clearance, up into congestion, which thickens the soup for the Lions, and it allows Dunkley to go out with Holmes, and we'll show some evidence of that later. And then he's got busy in the front half.
Yeah, absolutely. He's got that licence, doesn't he? He's their X Factor player.
When you say licence,
well, since Day's come back, when they didn't have that extra full forward, he had to play as a full forward, and he's a bit more limited. He's best when he can play in a number of different roles. And he's been able to get up in the centre bounce. He's done a couple of those, come up from the half forward, like Buck said, or drag his man deep, but he's been outstanding.
And you mentioned Dunkley and Holmes, Bucks, just then in terms. He's had some big jobs, Dunkley, and Holmes is probably one of the bigger ones of the cat category.
Yeah, we showed before the game where Holmes goes from stoppage, and he really sits back in that sweeping role. But what we've seen is that Brisbane have taken that away. So Dunkley starts in the midfield with Holmes, and rather than staying in the stoppage, he's just gone and sat in front of Max Holmes. So he's taken away the free running aspect of Max Holmes's decisions off the back of stoppage. So that one there, it's just showing, okay, we're not going to allow you to play the game as freely as you like to play it. So we're not going to allow you to be the loose in behind the contest. We're going to keep 6 forwards forward of the ball. There's 6 forwards behind Dunkley, and we're going to engage you as that sweeping wingman. So Dunkley in that instance, I think he gets involved in the game, and the Lions were able to go forward from there. But in this one, Holmes drops out, as we showed, and Dunkley just goes and sits in front of him. He actually draws his free kick from Holmes in this particular instance, but you just can't beat an opposition if you allow them to play the way they want to play, and Lions have gone to school on that, and they've made it harder to play.
The great thing about Dunkley too, he still gets the footy. He had 12 touches and 6 tackles. He's their leader when it comes to that defensive pressure and the hunt like response.
Well, Holmes has still had 11, but he's only had the 1 clearance, and he just hasn't had a free reign of where he goes from that inside contest. Now, the Lions have owned a lot of that, but I think the role that Dunkley's playing is having an impact.
And Louis, the Cats callback, it's got to be through the middle of the ground. It's the clearance game. It's the scores from clearances.
Yeah, so this gave them a little bit of territory, especially in the second half of that second quarter. So, some of those opportunities they just couldn't capitalise in terms of, goals, and there was a couple of points in there. But this is where they need to get it back. We've seen Dangerfield go back in there, so he played predominantly the first quarter and a little bit in the forward 50. Certainly he's needed in and around the centre bounce to support Tom Atkins. I thought Tom Atkins has been huge, and especially in that first quarter. He was really the only Cats midfielder that was getting busy, whether it be without the ball, like his tackle pressure that we've come to know as a big part of his game, or getting himself possessions and clearances. So he was the one big winner in that midfield group in the first half, when Holmes was a little bit well held, Bailey Smith was a little bit well held. So then they give him a friend in Dangerfield. So hopefully that beefs up their inside players and get that territory game back playing in their half.
He started like a bomb. He was the one.
He was awesome.
Yeah, he was the physical. He pushed forward. He was the chaos man.
That's the challenge though for Geelong. The depth in the midfield is not as good as Brisbane's. Now Brisbane's the best in the comp, so it was always going to be the challenge for Geelong. So they need their big guns to get back firing in the middle if they're going to get on top of the lines. That's for sure.
Yeah. Friday night footy industry super funds. What are you looking forward to, Bucks?
Well, I think Peter Dangerfield needs to go into the midfield more often. We spoke about Atkins then. He's had 7 of 19 clearances. And the inside player that he is, and what this game has turned into, is asking for more of those players to go in. And we saw him go in the last 10 minutes of that second quarter. He had a couple of centre bounce clearances, had a couple of clearances around ground himself. This was his first, inserting himself potentially into this role. But he had an impact immediately, getting a couple of touches and getting the ball forward. So Mullen is on Cameron, so he's out of the midfield. Holmes is getting looked after by Dunkley. Smith is head-to-head with Ashcroft or McCluggage at this stage. Dangerfield could have a
You don't switch Dunkley to Dangerfield if he gets in there more often though.
Well, but that might ask the question. So it's break glass in case of emergency. Maybe this is the emergency.
Yeah, righto. We're going to break glass. Off Australia's shock test loss at Lords. I know you boys love your cricket. So there's going to be an incredible West Indies tour that's going to happen. And I can tell you right now, the Aussie tour for the West Indies, Every Ball Live, ESPN, the 3-test series of 5 T20s begins Thursday, 12 a.m. from Bridgetown, Barbados. Australia take on the West Indies. Every Ball Live on ESPN.
All right, well, they're off on a break. Hope that was a good little bit of a wrap-up from the commentators, some of the superstar commentators there. All level in that second quarter, of course. 3 goals, 2 to the Brisbane Lions. 2 goals, 2 to the Cats. Hang on a minute. There we go. 23 points to margin. Oh, that's right. 17 points. It was the Lions actually winning that second term. 7-4-46. Kicking nice and reasonably accurate there for a change for the Brisbane Lions. 3-5-23 to the Cats. Little bit skewy. If I tell you what, this is certainly a difference, Emmanuel. After the past few weeks, we're seeing the Brisbane Lions just kick point after point after point, not being able to stick it through the big sticks. Makes all the difference when you are accurate. When you're accurate in a game of footy, you can stretch that margin. But 23 points here at half time. Make no mistake, this is a very gettable target. And of course, we'll have to just wait and see. Look, I think Scott, the coach of the Cats, will just put it to their players and say, hey, boys, your pressure's just not there. It is just not there. And the Brisbane Lions, as I said, I think they got an average 189 for the game pressure rating so far, which has lifted. They do look a little bit better. They still look at the better team out there at the moment, the Brisbane Lions. The Cats sort of got a little bit of a run back. Good to see the 350 game Paddy Dangerfield being put back into the centre. He got the touch there. Certainly looked a little bit more healthy in the midfield for them. But I tell you what, they were just under a little bit of pressure. They were scrambling a bit, the Cats, and not as clean and effective as we've seen them in the past few weeks. Of course, the Cats having a good dominant win over Essendon last week. Of course, they were just pure smooth as silk last week, but they're not playing the Bombers this week. They're playing the Brisbane Lions. All we know, the reigning premiership champs, the Lions, they're going to be tough to beat. And, of course, they always come up and produce a good match against these two sides. So, what's going to happen in the second half? Well, your guess is as good as mine. I'm still there. I'm still waiting, like everyone, for the Cats to take a little bit of a run and charge at this, get back right into this game. Be interesting to see whether Brisbane can hang on, especially if the Cats do that, whether the Brisbane Lions gets put under pressure and starts kicking skew if again. But we'll certainly see. It's going to be a ringer ding final second half here. Tell you what, what does the chat say on the vote we've had tonight? Hey, we've still got 56% saying the Geelong Cats, 44% saying the Brisbane Lions. There we go. I just hope it'd be nice, Emmanuel, to see the Brisbane Lions get up so the Magpies still stay on top. They'll be a game and a half clear after they'll win their match tomorrow against St Kilda. But I tell you what, I could be up for 2 bowls of rice if Brisbane end up winning this game. But that's all right. If I get either 2 bowls of rice, it means I'll be back over there and we'll be having lunch. Both Brisbane and Geelong, that's right, Brisbane and Geelong both have a bye next week. So vitally important, if we're having a look at the ladder right now, vitally important for both of these teams to win. Of course, vitally important for Brisbane if we just turn that live ladder off. Brisbane on 38. They're a chance of dropping out of the 8, quite possibly. Not too far away. If they lose this game, and of course, put that live ladder on, they'll be safe. They'll be safe at least until next week, I should imagine. There we go. It's certainly starting to ramp up the top 8, starting to put the cat amongst the pigeons, so to speak. Just looking at 8th and 9th, GWS Western Bulldogs, only a game in it there. That big percentage of the Western Bulldogs is going to be a force to be reckoned with coming up over the next few weeks. Now, the Bullies are full squad back. And, of course, all the teams up the top, fighting for top 4 position. That's where they want to be at the end of the year for that double chance. It's going to be super, super important, especially with the quality of the teams up there. Collingwood, Brisbane, Geelong, Adelaide. They probably do look the top 4 at the moment. But I am still, you know what, folks, the smoky for me is still the Western Bulldogs. I still think they can, sneakily just about make it into the top 4. And one of these sides go out. That's just my prediction. And I like it. I like it. Hey, anyway, let's go and have a look at the goal scorers for the game so far. We've only got one multiple. A little bit lucky to get him. But he got him, Jeremy Cameron. Jezza, he's got 2 on the board for the Cats. Shannon Neale with 1. That is it. That's unusual for the Cats to only have 2 goal scorers up until the half. They're usually shared about and multiple goal scorers there for the Cats. But, that's not the story this evening. We'll certainly see in the second half if that changes. Of course, for the Brisbane Lions, all singles, Darcy Wilmot, Cam Rayner, Logan Morris, Hugh McCluggage, Kai Lohmann, Will Ashcroft, Levi Ashcroft. There we go. That's more like it. Franco Costa Doggies. Yeah, I think they're going to be, tell you what, I think they're going to be a team that's going to trouble everyone. There we go. So that's what you like. That is what you like. You like multiple players with goals for your team. You know they're running hot then. All right, let's have a look at the ball magnets. Of course, Bailey Smith for the Cats. He's on top with 15. Look, he's just out there doing his role. He hasn't had too much big of an impact there. Well, not many of the Cats have at the moment. 9 kicks, 6 handballs, 3 marks, couple tackles, 4 clearances. Not too bad. Still, they all need to lift. But the main thing, the Cats need to put pressure on. They need to put pressure on. They need to chase hard, put pressure on, keep the ball in their forward 50 if possible, and get that turnover and slam a goal through. Jared Berry, best for the Brizzy Lions on 14 with 11 and 3. Tom Atkins on 14. Will Ashcroft, 13 bags. So Hugh McCluggage, hey, don't forget your luggage. He's on 12. Maxie Holmes, well, he hasn't done a great deal this evening, has he? He's been kept reasonably quiet. As I just have a little bit of a cough, my gosh. He's just on the 12. There we go. Josh Dunkley, 12, going well. Zorka up to 11. Tom Stewart, Well, he's at 11. Let's roll down. Cam Rayner, a little bit quieter in that second term, just 4 touches. 1 goal, 1 for him. Stengel needs to lift, of course. Myers just on the 8. Kai Lohmann on 8. 1 goal, 2. Hit a poster. Could have stretched the margin had he not. There we go. Let's just roll on down. Paddy Dangerfield, the man of the moment. Well, he needs to lift also. Him and Jezza needs big second halves. Need to get Maxi Holmes in there as well. Just the 6 touches for Paddy Dangerfield. 4 marks, 2 handballs. 4 kicks, I should say. 4 kicks, 2 handballs, a couple of marks, and 1 behind. Of course, he kicked that other one out on the full, his other shot. Lachie Neale, I tell you what, they've kept Lachie Neale quiet, the Cats. He's only had 5 touches, so both teams have got some big guns that can still step up and put their stamp of approval on this match as we go. I tell you what, another one for the Brisbane Lions. Tell you what, he's just off song a little bit. Charlie Cameron, he's only had the 4 touches, 2 and 2. He's had a couple of tackles, couple of clearances. Missed a tackle, missed a nice mark. I tell you what, Charlie Cameron, he's just out of sorts a little bit. He needs to get his confidence back and run into a little bit of form. And certainly the second half of this game, he could certainly do it there. There we go. Let's have a look at some of the team stats. She was pretty tight at quarter time. It's the Lions plus 17 in the disposal count, plus 4 on the kicks, plus 13 handballs. Inside 50s, look, both teams are getting opportunity. 24 inside 50s for the Cats, 8 scoring shots. So 1 in 3 times they're going inside their forward 50, they're able to score. But unfortunately, it's only 3 goals. The Brisbane Lions, 31 inside 50s for 11 scoring shots. So it's not easy for both teams to score once going inside 50. As we can see, the disposal efficiency. What we were talking about, the Cats, a little bit fumbly, not composed. They're just rushing a little bit because of the Brisbane Lions pressure. 66% on the disposal efficiency. That needs to lift. Camera's missing John Denver's soundtrack. He could be too. Isn't that Charlie Cameron? John Denver's soundtrack? I don't know. It could be. Oh, they're both probably country boys. There we go. 73 for Lions. Not too bad. Free kicks. There we go. 10 to 12. It's settled down a bit in the second term. It's plus 2 to the Lions. So umpiring a little bit better in that second term. They did a little bit hasty on a couple of 50-metre penalties there, but they do that some weeks. Sort of confuses the players, the fans, everyone else. But there we go. That's what happens. Hit-outs pretty tidy. 21-22. Brisbane by 1. Clearances. There we go. Reasonably evenly matched now. 21-24. That's the Lions plus 3 in the clearances. Centre clearances all tied up at 5 apiece. And stoppage clearances plus 3 to the Lions. 19-16. Contested, well, she's pretty contested. Both teams doing well. 60-65. Uncontested. Not a great deal in that. It's just plus 15 to the Lions. But, the Cats, they just need to just control the ball a little bit more. On occasions, probably need to slow the game down a fraction. There we go. 5 to 6 marks inside 50. Let's have a look at that quick tackle count. Extremely low by the Cats. They need to lift their pressure if they want to get back into this game. Let's head back down to the umpires, the bounce of the ball for the third quarter.
Inside forward 50.
And we're into it at the start of the third. McCluggage keeps on keeping on. To centre half forward, Rain has been outstanding. He's outpointed this time by Stewart, who floats one to Smith. And gave a look in for Dunkley. It's a free going over Lions, though.
Gee, well, that was full.
Just a grin of Smith. Good running from behind by Fletcher, and he stabs the pass. Taken by Bailey. Quick glance into the 50. Morris calling for it in the square, but he went to a safer option. And Rayner takes the mark.
It's a clever little kick. Cam Rayner was just sitting off to the side. He pointed to the space where he wanted it. This is the free kick that was paid, which was an interesting one. He just pulls the side of his head on the way through, but you'll just see Rayner out to the right. He's just pointing, just put it there, and I'll duck back to it. Good kick. They get the set shot.
He's had influence all over the ground, Cam Rayner. He's already kicked a goal. He's had 5 clearances, and he's only had more than 5 clearances 4 times in his career. So he's getting up around the ball. He's getting forward. And Brisbane is such a different team when Cam Rayner is firing. And he is firing with all guns tonight. He's kicked his second. And what a start to the third quarter.
So the ball use going forward is everything, Jace. It is what they set themselves up within that first quarter. So just look at the way they use it. So we know Tom Stewart's one of the great zone-off defenders of the modern era, but they say, nah, we'll go through your man. If you're not going to be up there and tied on him, there's Tom Stewart coming off his man here, and that leaves Bailey Smith. Zach Bailey. Great decision to go there to Bailey. And then again, no, I won't go to the top of the square. We don't go down the line. Just a short give to Rayner. I love those two kicks for Brisbane. Against this Geelong defence, perfect.
And importantly, from a Brisbane perspective, it's 8 goals 4, whereas the last couple of weeks it would be 4 goals 8. Makes a massive difference.
Game high 29 points.
Back into the middle. Stanley went early. Fort went out the back. Holmes cut it off though. Chance to send the Cats forward. Manor set himself. Bailey Smith's the short. He intends to go longer. Neale has position. Dangerfield probably spoiled his own man. Zorko missed Fletcher. Gives Smith a look. Gave it up to Zorko. Dunkley. Zorko somehow kept it alive. And then kicked it out of the foot.
Shannon Neale, Paddy Dangerfield not on the same page there. One of them had to protect, probably Danger in the end, that had to just back off and let Neale go for the mark.
They're trying just a bit too hard at the moment, Gaz.
Yeah, I'm sure that's the case.
Holmes is going to give them another look. Stanley and Dangerfield, the two in the pack. Fletcher repels once more. Holmes was set. Good spoil by Bailey. Rayner tried to craft the hand pass through. Guthrie had other ideas. Rayner went again. Holmes has it. Got rid of it. Manor out the side. Smith a chance to set the Cats up. He's gone for Jack Martin.
Well, it's more by luck than by design, but they'll take it. They were able to prevent Brisbane transitioning the ball out of defence, create those forward half turnovers, and then make something of it.
Game number 3 for the Cats. He's had a torturous time through injury. 6 years at Gold Coast, 5 at Carlton, trying to resurrect his career. Jack Martin, his new club needs it. Not to be, and the boot is on the other foot, as it were.
That's a horrible miss. Because that was fortuitous and it found its way to him. He got pushed as he kicked at Bailey Smith and he hooked the kick. Got to take those opportunities. On a low-scoring night like that, that's a horrible miss.
Yeah, what a reversal on last week for the Brisbane Lions. Bailey plays the waiting game this time. Call for the switch from Dunkley on this side of the ground, but in the end he turned it down. But it's short and safe to Ainsworth. Still has a hankering to switch if he can, but no. Hursley kicks it up along the wing. Chop it a little bit. There's a shove on Henry, so it does still exist. Day. Well, truly outside 5, but doesn't creep yet. Now he does. On the line again. Morris and Fort were both there, both outpointed by Tom Stewart. Can he get the Cats going off half back? Quickly floats a kick from Martin. Disrupted illegally.
You would think that his 2 points from turnover would have played really heavily at half-time. They have to go quick here.
Holmes thrashes it in. Dangerfield's presence is great. Disturb the pack. Neale, the fin for the big guy. How does he get rid of it? Too close. His hands up on the inside. Dangerfield will see that. He only knows one way, which is to try and go through. He failed. Cameron was out. So we'll have a throw in instead.
Just decided to take 2 tackles on Danger. He thought I'll just try and run through them. But he was still able to get a hand pass out so that he didn't get pinged.
Couldn't really get the tread to get the power through. It's difficult tonight to negotiate. Slippery underfoot. Stanley the tap, but Fort the follow. The ex-ruck snatched away by Stengel, who hates to be rushed. He likes to get himself set, and he just hit the wrong part of the ball.
So both milestone men have a behind and an out on the full to their name without a goal.
Not going to script right now, Jared. Not going to script at all for the Cats.
Starcevic told to get it moving. Stanley has best access. Chance at the repeat entry. Stanley to the top of the square. Neale set himself. Cameron might have spoiled him this time. Zorko clears it away to Dunkley. And off to Berry. Takes the kick up the line. Morris kept it out of Stewart's clutches. Gave Lohmann a look underneath. Pushed it on to Day. Released it back to Berry. Tried to shrug his way underneath. Got muscled out over the boundary. Not before there's a high. Free kick.
You didn't think it was a free kick. Jared Berry, he was handing the footy back to the boundary umpire.
What they have done, the Cats, though, is they've made Brisbane go long up the line the last 3 or 4 times, which is not what they want to do.
And he tries to bite something off. It took all the skills and determination of McCluggage to hang on. An aggressive swing back across the ground. Dangerfield only inches away. Unworried by it all. Unflustered was Andrews. Set it to Starcevic. It's deep enough. Ranging out is Morris.
That's how the game started, Jace. No, don't get you, as you rightly pointed out, they went back to what they worked for them. Go across, take the risky kick, and McCluggage was good enough. And then all of a sudden they changed the angles and they've got a shot at goal. This served them really well in the first 20 minutes of this game.
What a player he's become in such a short period of time. Logan Morris. Rayner has already become a multiple goal kicker in this quarter. It's a big snap from a long way out. It's a snap of substance. And such has been the performance of the Brisbane Lions. It's a reminder that they are the reigning premiers. And it's 34 points.
So the marks from opposition, or intercept marks, whatever you want to call it, a big number. Geelong have only taken 11. Now, this is the key to this. Don't go down the line to Tom Stewart. Go across the ground. Split it up. Paddy Dangerfield, half asleep. Starcevic gets off him. And then Morris goes to a different part of the ground as well, and good enough to finish from there. That's really good footy from the Brisbane Lions. Their 2 goals have come from not kicking the ball to the obvious spot.
And what a difference a couple of weeks makes. You're kicking them from everywhere now. That's a brilliant snap.
27 for the season for Morris. .34 points is a long way back. Bailey Smith with a set of clearance. Jams it to centre half forward. Zorko had it spoiled by close. Holmes coming through. Set miles away. Kicks out for Neale. Has separation. And hangs on this time.
And this is the connection that we haven't seen all night. Their forward-line stuff's been as bad as you could ever see. And it has been Myers, and it has been close, and Manor and Stengel have been to blame, at fault. This is much more like it.
He went goalless at the Gabba earlier in the year. The goal from a 50-metre penalty in the opening term. Shannon Neale, first real test of his kicking prowess. He's pushed it. Counts of 3-7.
It's their turn to misfire, it seems, this week. Wilmot. Fullback responsibility. Scours left and kicks right to Starcevic. High ball. Henry worked under it by Morris. Footy found its way to Humphries. Couldn't handle it. O'Sullivan and O'Connor. Ashcroft sits atop. Margin sits at 33. Cats coming off 5 wins. The Lions 2 tough losses against top 8 teams. Fort couldn't escape. Cats clogging up. O'Connor, he has the same fate. Bailey Smith just off the contest. Plenty of words. A lot of pointing going on. They're a frustrated team at the moment, Geelong. Stanley rucking. So far, Chris Scott has resisted the temptation to activate the sub. Ollie Henry, that's a move he might make soon. Stanley toppled. Ashcroft shut down. Manor, whatever Manor. Inside Dangerfield. He's drawn the free. Takes it quickly, and it may not. Maybe it's just not to be tonight. It seems that way.
So just trying to work out what they're doing here. They're trying to get Max Holmes behind the footy to try and help him rebound. As we said, they haven't scored for a turnover all night.
Dunkley released Bailey right through the middle. Cameron back to Bailey on a marauding run. Brushed off Bailey Smith and set it up perfectly for Morris.
You want to get better transition of the ball from defence into attack there. It was quick, it was slick, good foot skills, and they just ran. They had options all the way through the corridor. There's the slick hand pass, and Zach Bailey takes him on. He takes Bailey Smith on, and then he knows he's got a good lead from Logan Morris, and he just has to chip it into space.
6 coaches' votes in his 5 goals, 1 last week. Logan Morris continuing his form on, lining up for goal number 3. Morris is right on target, and the Lions are right on song.
They have been brilliant from the opening bounce, and I'm giving credit to Chris Fagan and his coaching group because they put a plan together. Just watch, Jason said transition. They will not kick this ball long. Just watch. Chip kick short here. Out to space. This kick, everyone expects it to go long. Nah, just chip up short there, break the whole thing up, get the footy back, chip up short again. Got one long kick in that transition of play, and that has been the MO from the time this game started. And all of a sudden, the drop-off Geelong defenders who have been so elite, Henry, Stewart, Blitzarves, the great intercept markers, they can't get a look at it.
You can see the great work from Morris ahead of the ball. He was taking Stewart back towards goal, but pointing back to the space where he wanted the kick to go, and Bailey able to find it.
Yeah, it's a masterclass that they're putting on here from the coach's box right down to the playing group.
It's exactly what has cut up the Cats the last 2 times they've met. And they're doing it with even more power and emphasis tonight.
Yeah, and the rest of the competition should be watching. Just you don't go obvious spots to this Geelong team.
Brilliantly read off the hands by Ashcroft. It was sharp, but Lohmann gets the kick, and there's little gaps and holes opening up everywhere. Cameron places it almost perfectly. Humphrey's got a fingernail in, but that was enough. Stewart now under the hammer. Handballs to Holmes. He had to release. And Sullivan stretches out full stride, instep out of the foot.
Wow, they just cannot move the footy from one end to the other, Geelong. That was Charlie Cameron on Tom Stewart that took that mark. So again, go through Tom Stewart's man. If he's going to play back, go through him.
Fletcher from behind Day, and Blitzarves with a powerful fist. Manor contained brilliantly by Ashcroft, even though it was close to the line.
Just reminding everyone that there's a reigning premier tonight, Brisbane. They're just giving you a very, very stark reminder.
They felt disrespected by some of the reviews. Helter-skelter at the footy. Myers offloaded. Will Ashcroft smooth as ever. Found the hand pass to McCluggage. Got his kick away. Cameron's drawn up at the footy. It came up a fraction short. Henry released. Backwards and sideways to try to find the way. Duncan changed his mind mid-flow. It's just 15 to Guthrie. Manor presents. Staying through the centre square. Close and Fletcher. Neale reached up over the top, disrupted the play, and Bailey came spinning through. He really has a taste for it. Levi Ashcroft popped it forward. Henry and Morris reset. Morris knocked it to his own advantage. Released. Cameron, they closed on him. He released, and Rayner takes the shot across the face.
See, they had an option. Dunkley was on the open side, all on his own. If the hand pass could have come out, Bailey's win that contested ball at ground level. He's playing again.
He wanted it much more than Tyson Stengel. Bottom line. Meant more to him.
Humphreys. Fletcher had best vantage point. He follows through and takes the mark. And ready to insert again. Rayner's just bumped up.
It was nearly worth kicking to Rayner then too, in that space.
Instead, he went longer, and everyone seemed to slip over. Good courage from O'Connor. It was needed. Hipwood was looming large. Flipped over the top to Manor. Backs back out of defence. Can the Cats find any sort of avenue?
And this is the thing, Hutto. It's just worth repeating. They've scored 3 points from turnover for the match.
Duncan plays it wide. It'll take some marking. Holmes couldn't even really attempt it. They made it up on the spot and did it well. Martin's handball to Stingle. Immediate opposition. Thrusting forward from Ainsworth. Turns it back Brisbane's way. Stingle had to dig deep to Humphreys. They work the handballs in tight spaces. Wait's not going in the right direction. Ball, the turnover seemed inevitable. Just a bit of holding. Eases the squeeze.
I don't think that was one of those. Back behind your mark. Behind your mark.
Roy Henry warming up. Won't be too late to have any sort of significant impact.
He did well, Dunkley, there, just to hold all of that up and let them set up behind the footy.
Frustrated Max Holmes. Into the pocket. Cameron gingerly came to the footy. And Berry happy to wear whatever is required. The manner tackle brings it to a halt.
You look at some of the numbers. Max Holmes, 20 possessions. Bailey Smith, 18. The two most possessions on the ground, you'd think Geelong winning comfortably. But there's been no run and carry. There's been no fluidity the way they've moved the footy, even with those two getting it.
What player Dunkley is, he takes Holmes or he just plays on Holmes, and then when Holmes goes off, he plays on Smith.
Line spread. Andrews will find Levi Ashcroft on the bump. Inboard to Starcevic. Guides it up now to McLaughlin. Quick release to Bailey. Perfect for Charlie. He's got Morris over the top if he wants.
Oh, he's got Rayner.
He's gone for Morris, who's going to walk it in.
Exactly.
The celebration.
That again, Jared, let's watch it again. The movement and the ball use forward. They've ruined the party for Paddy. It is absolutely precise. With the transition from the back half, Chief, I want you to watch it again.
Yeah, but what about the way they had options forward? And there were no Geelong players back there, so we get to see this build-up. Wasn't a great kick from Andrews, but slick hand pass.
This kick.
And now look at that.
Short kick.
And then look at the next one. Look where Cameron is.
And
then you'll see Logan Morris goal square, but left of screen, out of screen is Cam Rayner. That's where he shapes to go, and then he goes long to Morris, who strolls in and kicks the easy one. And as soon as it left the boot of Charlie Cameron, he stood there with both arms up in the air, celebrating.
Hopefully we get a look at that. Charlie's kicked it, and as the ball's in flight, the hands go up like he's kicked his 100th goal. They are feeling it. They're feeling it big time, Brisbane.
That's 4 for Morris to go with his 5 from last week.
Yeah, 4 earlier in the year, 29 for the season. Cats trying to burst out of the middle. Atkins tumbles. Fletcher just tracked the ball to Ainsworth, and they get rhythmic again off half back. Levi Ashcroft forced to kick it in hurried fashion off the left. Bit of a mongrel. Cameron trying to twist and turn on Mullen. He had the support needed. Stewart fires it out. Now this is O'Connor trying to ease out. You can see the worried look on his face. Can I kick it 60 metres across the ground? No, definitely not. Fletcher along the line, the sliding Lohmann. Takes the mark quickly to his feet. They're eager to give us more. Slower play this time, so the degree of difficulty has risen a little for Lockie Neale.
19 uncontested marks to 7 this quarter, Hutto. All in favour, there's another one. That's 20 to Brisbane this quarter.
Nice little deceptive move. Fletcher tries his own little manoeuvre to get through. Fell a bit short of the mark, and the Cats, well, they did force the turnover, but Humphreys, awkward, quick from Neale. Deep it goes. Lohmann tries to jump up in the air. So did McLaughlin. Under siege, Martin, hurried kick from Dempsey, needs Neale to make a contest, but it's no contest tonight, it's a free kick in fact, so he does win the battle, if not the war.
50 metres.
Harris Andrews gave that footy back so quickly because he wanted to chase Brad closer.
Yeah. In the meantime, Sorgo's giving away 50 metres, yeah.
So Neale's got the short target in Myers, who can turn and go and give the Cats a look, and at last, they have one in this third term. Big assists to get it done.
It's against the run of play. And it took a 50-metre penalty, but it was interesting. Andrews didn't bother complaining about the decision. He knew that Geelong were out the back. He just threw the ball, turned and ran. And he was trying to cover it, but in the meantime, another infringement had occurred. You'll see here, He knows they're out the back. He sees Close on the left, and he's off chasing him.
It does give you an insight into the mindset. Like, there's no mucking around here, just defensive stuff.
I might have been harsh on Zorgo. It could have been Answorth on the left that went through the protected area.
2 goals from 50.
Yeah.
2 goals from 2 of their 4 goals have come via 50-metre penalties.
And they've only got 3 goal kickers. Cameron with 2. And a couple of single goals. Brian Myers. There we go. Ollie Henry is in, and Mitch Duncan has spent quite a bit of time this year as the sub. He is off. Towed forward. Myers. The Cats get a bit of momentum. No, Fletcher shuts that down. Brilliant work, though, by Dempsey with the tackling prowess. The Cats get a bit of a taste for the tackle.
So we got 6 minutes to go. They're 30-odd points down. But they have to be able to find a way to kick 2 goals in a row to try and get some sort of momentum, crowd involvement, see if they can make Brisbane nervous, because right now they can't.
A bit of pride involved as well as O'Connor kicks it forward. Dempsey and Dangerfield both threatening together. Dempsey for Dangerfield. Once again.
8 possessions for Ollie Dempsey. 9 now. Just hasn't been able to get himself into the game. Paddy Dangerfield, 8 touches. Done a good job, Starcevic.
Continues his watching brief on Dangerfield. And here he comes, the champ. Feeds it back to Martin. Back outside to Smith. Full wind-up. Ollie Henry tries to compete, but Andrews had it covered. Tapped it down. Definitely enough. McCluggage with a rush ball out of there. Stewart doesn't often get forward.
I reckon the fumbles nearly put him in goal-kicking range too. So the marks, basically the 50-metre mark, he can just arc out to the right a little bit and get the journey, I think.
This might be the one that gets the crowd up and going and just gives them half a sniff.
5 goals in his career, 3 in the past 7 seasons. Tom Stewart, he is very close to the man on the mark. It took everything. Deep is Dempsey, can't take the mark. Every little trace of what Geelong are able to do this year is just, it's just not been completed, is it?
No, they can't. Well, the dangerous aspects just haven't taken fire.
We can't undersell the job that Brisbane's back 6 or back 7 has done today. Their organisational structure's been outstanding.
Zorko bit off the big kick. He had the short in Fletcher, which he chose not to use.
Yeah, which is a strange decision too, Jared, because they've enjoyed keeping possession away from the Cats.
Sullivan with the repeat entry. It'll be for the high flyers. Spoils are made. Stengel trying to open up the possibilities. Brush to tackle. Didn't quite get enough on the hook. Stanley and Close. Almost. Not to be. Martin needs somebody going by. Neale ended up with it. Not enough on it. Close couldn't hang on. And the bumbling and fumbling goes on.
Yeah, well, Dane Zorko went off the script there, Jared. He had the short that they had been hitting this whole quarter, particularly in particular.
1-5 for the term now for the Cats versus 4-1 for Brisbane.
And a 2-on-1 out wide with Harris Andrew.
Slides it on the bounce to Rayner this time, Zorko, who just delayed the give to Ashcroft and then back again. So they've got beyond the wing on the kick. McLaughlin!
Oh, yes,
the kid from around here played with the Falcons. The Colac boy. He's a jumper from way back. So is Lohmann, but he's outstretched.
Yeah, well, it's a terrific mark, but he just picked the wrong option. He had Hipwood all on his own.
Cat's trying to link it up. Fort arrives. Spoiled Stanley to some degree, but couldn't thwart the progress. Humphries sold his way around Berry. Uses Ollie Henry. Trying to brush his way clear. Neale set a big task. Run down by Zorko. Atkins lends a hand. Close. Finds the way up the front. Links it up with Martin. Has a look at the shallow. Who's trying for Stengel. They've had it scouted all right, the lines. And McLaughlin doing it at both ends. Goes quickly. Will Ashcroft. Sleight of hand to Answorth and gets it back. Will plays it forward. Day set himself. Bailey has been so explosive tonight. Settles himself and gives them a look. Hipwood's the riser. Away. Ollie Henry confronted by Neale. He's happy to be escorted over the boundary.
A great mark by that young man McLaughlin. This one here, Jace. It is a super mark. How many times do we then see the player just forget what they have to do after the mark?
Yeah.
He went off script and went long when he had a short option. It was a super grab. And this is another example of what they've done. They've just cut Geelong off. Geelong cannot score on turnover at all.
Michael went to the Nationals as a junior high jumper. Berry. Oh no, what a kick. Just kept on going too much on the curl. For a minute, the goal umpire gave every indication that was going to go through.
38-point margin. Kicking's a neat one to Myers. Oh, brings it in, and again it's cut off. Zorko picks the kick. Not well. Blitzards releases Holmes, who looks to have a dash. Kick set Stanley under the footy. Ollie Henry missed the hand pass to Dangerfield. Leicester going the way. Fort overwhelmed. Got a hand pass away. Dangerfield barges his way out of a tight space and kicks for Cameron. It's the link that's been missing.
And you look back behind play, Dane Zorko had his hands on his head. He missed the kick, he butchered it horribly. Then he had a chance to tackle Dangerfield. He ran straight through him. And now the Cats are having a shot for goal when it probably should have been a Brisbane shot for goal at the other end. They just don't want to make mistakes that let Geelong back in, because we know if they get on a run, they are very hard to stop the Cats.
The forward of the future has kicked 4 at the other end. The leader of the Coleman is lining up for his third. Jeremy Cameron, precise. The Cats have managed a couple in a row.
There's one great hope, and that is they get on a bit of a wave and ride this emotion, which is it's dormant in this stadium at the moment. They want to get up and they want to get excited. They want to try and drive them forward. To this point of the game, Brisbane have had every single answer. And just for the first time, they've been able to kick 2 goals in a row tonight, Geelong. The first time for the night they've got 2 in a row. They get the margin back to 32 points. And I tell you, it's just, if there's any chance, Jace.
How good was Danger there? Just grabbing the ball, taking the bit between the teeth and saying, I don't care who's in front of me. I'm running through them, and then I'm driving the ball forward.
Well, the best thing is he completed the play with a kick. He's been going, he's at 17% by foot as well, Paddy. So they're going to tidy up. They've got 2 in a row for the first time for the night.
Cats still giving a shout with the third to Cameron. Stanley down to Smith, hit back by 4. Open country, Atkins had to turn, and he took it pretty well to half forward. Ollie Henry, outpointed by Berry, steadfast across half back. And wants to attack if he can. Is there interference on Dunkley there? Not allowed to pass. Awkward for Raynus. A big ball that he won here on the wing. McCluggage did the winning. McLaughlin the fumble. Ollie Henry, he has come out with something to prove. Angles the kick forward. Stengel waited. Now, back to the inside. He gives to Smith, but he fell on his back. Oh, that's just the way it is tonight. Zorko kicks long down the line. Stewart, shove. Only him a big shove in the back on Rayner. Back to Guthrie. Nothing is easy for them at the moment. O'Connor, Guthrie again. Neale and Close. Close one, but not the second. Now out pass paid the mark to Zorko.
Oh, very close to saying he might have had a piece of that. 24 seconds on the clock. Just got to very slowly go down the line.
They'll know the time on the clock, Brisbane. He did well there, Zorko, to reach back and drag it out of Close's hands. They just want to absorb this last 20 seconds. He can go across goals if he wants.
Zorko to the pack up the line. Neale threatens to come out the front. Only Henry had a mind to get it moving. The Lions are just there in enough numbers. And they will take a 32-point lead to the final change. 17 to 23 to 32 at each of the breaks. Chris Fagan with a carefully laid plan, ever so close to coming to fruition.
Cats fans, finally something to shout about late in the quarter, but it is going to take one mighty effort. They trail by 32 points on Paddy's big night. And the footy, of course, continues. Super Saturday Live. What an occasion for North Melbourne. Can they cause the upset against the Blues?
All right, three-quarter time here, folks. The Cats, 2 goals, 5 in that third term. Talk about wonky kicking. That's the issue with the Cats tonight. Definitely not the Lions. 2 goals, 5. The Brisbane Lions, 4 goals, 2. I tell you what, I thought they were just about going to get the next goal, of course. Well, what's his name, Zorko? Well, it wasn't his mark. That come off the Geelong player's hands. But he claimed it and the umpires gave it to him. What's going on? It's quiet in Geelong tonight. Shh. Don't wake up the kitty cats. You might get them on a run. Hey, it's 32 points of difference. 32 points of difference here at three-quarter time. Make no mistake, I still don't think this game is just over yet, Emmanuel. B3, Matthew, I don't think the game's over just yet. I know it's 32 points, but we've seen this happen before with the Cats. Been down a margin, they come back with an absolute steamroll and the opposition start to panic and they run over them. Well, the Cats were starting to get a little bit of momentum late in that third term. So at least, Addy G, at least they're going to go into this final term with a little bit of momentum. The fat lady is singing. I'll tell you what, if she's singing, she's only going to sing quietly. If the Lions kick on the next 2 goals, first 2 goals, it's game over. If the Cats kick it, watch out. 32-point margin. Tell you what, it could be just enough. I think the Lions need to kick 2 goals in this quarter. What's that, 32-44? I think if the Lions can kick 2 goals in this quarter, they'll probably end up winning the match. That's the challenge for the Kitty Cats tonight. Congratulations on beating Essendon, though. If you're not beating them by 100, you're losing. There you go. I tell you what, that's the difference in playing a team like the Bombers, where you look silky smooth, and then you play the Lions. Yeah, I just think this is one of those games where the Cats have just been off. We've experienced and we've seen that throughout the season, where teams are just expected to turn up, play well, and possibly win, at least give it a good hard crack. But this is the night for Geelong. I think that they're having an off night. And it looks like they'll be happy to have the bye next week. I think the Lions would prefer not to have a bye now that they've found a little bit of form. But yeah, as I said, still a quarter to go here, 32 points. It's the margin that Brisbane would have been looking for at three-quarter time going in, 32 points. It's a nice, healthy lead. It's going to be if the Cats do start to make a big run. As I said, the Lions, they probably need to kick 2 goals in this final quarter. They milk us off tonight. It could be a little bit sour, that is for sure, but there's still, I tell you what, if you're still a Cats fan, you've still got a little bit of hope. All depends probably in the first 5 minutes of this final term. Whew, I tell you what, there we go. It's going to be interesting. Hey, let's just check on the goal scorers, leading goal scorers. 4 to Logan Morris for the Lions. He's having an exceptional one. 2 to Cam Rayner for the Cats. 3 to Jeremy Cameron. Tell you what, him and Paddy need to really step up their game in the final. Leading disposal getter. Tell you what, no one's dominating this game. It's been well spread. 22 is the top number on the table so far from either team. Up to three-quarter time. Zorko and Bailey Smith both on 22. Maxi Holmes, 21, not having the impact with his run this evening. That being said, nor is Bailey. Tonight, Jared Berry, 21. Dunkley looks all right, 23. McCluggage, 18 also. There we go. Cam Rayner up to 17. Had a good quarter, quiet quarter, reasonable quarter, 17. 2-2 for him. We'll have a look at the stats a little bit more after. Hey, if you wanted to have a look at the live ladder as it speaks, there it is. Let's just have a look at the percentage. 112.8. There we go. Brisbane Lions on this margin, 2.4%. They've picked up. And, of course, the Cats have lost about 5%. There we go. They don't want to lose by too much more than this. That is the live ladder as it stands. If the game finishes where we are at, that will be your ladder at the moment. But you know what, we're a half minute away from the final quarter, folks. Pies looking great, Emmanuel. That's it. They'll go on. Of course, the Pies looking at the live ladder. They'll go on and beat St Kilda for sure. That'll put them a game and a half clear and percentage. And of course, the week after that, they've got the West Coast Eagles. That's going to be another big percentage booster. So they will continue to roll in fashion. The best team in the competition 2025 so far. There's no doubting that. Just making up who's going to play them in the grand final. That's what we're going to find out. There we go. But I tell you what, this is going to be an interesting quarter. I'm looking forward to this final quarter. You know what? I want to see the Cats come back. I want to see this a fantastic, tight, close game. I want this to come down within 10 points. I don't know who's going to win. Looks like the Lions at the moment, but can the Cats show a little bit of fight? We'll certainly find out. Let's head back down to the ground. It's the Lions by 32. Let's head back down to the final quarter.
13-1 Geelong this year in final quarters.
The Lions came from 32 points down at the Gabba in round 3. It's 32 points now. The peak lead was 45 though. So the degree of difficulty in a chase down like this is high. They usually find a way to give a yelp, the Cats. Can they trouble the Lions in this final term? Brisbane haven't won at this venue since 2003. Big deep breath. We all follow the lead of our umpire. Stanley clean to Holmes, off to Smith. So that would be the combination. Kick it up for Dangerfield. Slips over. Dragged out by Lester. Who's wants Neale. He's got it. Great trap by Neale. Releases McCluggage. Gives Rayner a look on the lead.
What a kick and what a mark.
Yeah, he's got to go back. If he doesn't have a short pass on, he can take the responsibility and kick the goal. Because all of a sudden you kick one goal, Brisbane, and the Cats have to double their score in less than a quarter.
The script writers had it right, and Jerry called it Smith to Holmes or Holmes to Smith, and then Danger was supposed to mark it, and then they went away.
He slipped.
And slipped over.
Yeah.
Historically low returns against the Cats, Cam Rayner. At the signature moment of blasting past the preliminary final. He's kicked 2 goals, 2 tonight. Rayner from range. The contact was sweet.
Great kick.
That means the world. For all the talk in the huddles, it was get the first goal.
100%. And look at the spirit again. It's like when a player kicks his first goal in league football. Every single player has run to Cam Rayner. They've gone to enjoy the success of what they've planned and what they've executed here tonight. Again, it was rebounding from half-back. It's the quick kick out. Logan Neale, he's been quiet, very well held by Tom Atkins most of the night. But he traps the ball, he fires it into McCluggage, and that is a beautiful kick and good hands from Rayner. And then he's prepared to take the responsibility, and unlike the last couple of weeks, they have converted the big set shots.
They kick the first goal of every quarter. Ashcroft kicked the first goal of the game. Ashcroft again, the first goal of the second. Rayner has kicked the first goal of the third and fourth quarter.
This is how they celebrated moments last year when they got going in the middle of the year. Made a huge point of it. Can the Cats give something here? They're into their systematic handballs, the Lions instead. McCluggage, Cameron with the jump, connects with Lohmann, desperate to release it to Ashcroft, but he can't.
Charlie Cameron hasn't been the best player in the ground by any stretch, but his energy and his willingness to be at every contest is symptomatic of what they've done tonight, Brisbane.
Forced it forward. Holmes. Look at that. As soon as he picked it up, he had to do it with 2 lines.
Thanks, boys. That's you, Rex.
It's made something in the eye.
It's man on man everywhere, no loose behind the footy.
The ruckman really made contact. You almost hear it in the tone of the umpire's voice. Cameron heaves it back, close, couldn't really find it. Now he's got it at ground level, hacked it forward. Neale didn't know who to give it to. Now he does. Sweeping through. Ollie Henry couldn't get his footing, misfired the handball, trying to get it to Dangerfield. And again, they hit a brick wall.
Tyson Stengel in the goal square on his own. He was in space, they just couldn't get it to him.
And hands on hips instead. Dunkley sends it along the wing. Answorth with the job. Lohmann wasn't sure whether to fly. He stays down. He's ready to go now. Lohmann with the take. The pressure evaporates on the turn. They're doing it again, the Lions. In the middle to Ashcroft. One more over the top. And they are cutting the Cats to ribbons. And 50. And Morris will kick his 5th. And the celebrations They won't stop here for the travelling Lions fans at the other end of the ground. It's like the European soccer fans that have got on the boat or got on the train or got on the plane, gone to watch their team on the road, and they have silenced the rest of the stadium. And Morris has 5, the boy from Werribee.
It's that little thing, Chase. No one stood the mark then. I know it's just that little thing here. They have broken the spirit of this Geelong side. That's what they've done. They've come here on a night that was to be celebrated and historic and memorable, and now they can't get a man to stand the mark when a goal's kicked. They have broken them.
And there was nothing malicious with what Tom Atkins did. He was desperately trying to get back and do what he does, and that's compete and contest everything. He's been one of the Cats' best, but just went a little too far, and then there's the 50, and the Cats walk away.
Well, no one can be bothered. They've got them right where they want them, Brisbane.
5 goals, 2 weeks running for Logan Morris. How did he slip to the second round? Clean tap. Going forward, Dunkley. Henry cuts it off.
We might be just watching a young key forward emerge big time here.
Berry had the set over, Blitzarves brought it down. McCuggers didn't handle it initially. Dempsey knocks it on. Bailey Smith has got the hand pass to Atkins. Low down ball, gathered it well. Stanley puts it in deep. Dangerfield underneath it. Neale can't release the hand pass, got dispossessed. Dangerfield fights on. Cameron's out the side. Wheels onto the left, hooks it over his shoulder. He's all class. He's kicked 4. And the only 2 other goals have been from 50-metre penalties. So when you say he's been a lone hand, he's been a lone hand.
He has, and he's leading the Coleman for a reason. They may have got very, very fortunate here for a free kick that wasn't paid in the end. But take nothing away from Jeremy Cameron, because the goal in the end itself was just extraordinary. So some run finally from the back half. Tom Atkins has been a trier. I thought there was a holding the ball here maybe that could have been a long way away from it here. Maybe a bit fortunate, maybe. Anyway, the kick is unbelievable from Cameron. It's a great finish. 4 goals in 4 out of 6.
48 for the season. Back in the middle. Flurry of goals to start the final term. 2 of them to this team on the road. 2 of their best, Ashcroft and McLean's combined until they run into Tom Stewart. Places it for Dempsey. Area of the tag, not the tackle. Gave him a shove as he kicked it. Deep kick, and that's easy for Andrews. Stepped in and a little bit off balance. Really a further whistle. Wobbles one along the wing. And the shuffle. Sullivan the spoil. Dunkley couldn't, well, he does find a way to dispose of it. In the end, just. Slight fumble from Henry made his job difficult. Morris consents an opportunity for holding the ball and probably should have got it there.
Getting a boot on that Dunkley. He must have got a little slither on it.
38-point margin. Blitzarves rocking. Just watched it a little. Nothing came of it. Dunkley on Bailey Smith, as it has been for so much of the night. Ryan's trying to extricate, he can't.
Logan Morris 5 goals on Jack Henry. Jack Henry is a star. That is some sort of performance.
Martin to find the way through, released. Manor missed the hand pass. Dempsey toppled over. It's out of play again.
It's like the Cats have never played in these conditions before, isn't it? They're just not handling them at all.
Right.
Can't make the change of direction. It's a subdued crowd.
That's a statement, Jerry.
Yes, they're a bit pale, not just white. What's happened tonight? Blitzarves, probes, cut off. Sorko, who's taken yardage all night.
The veteran, after due consideration, he gave Holmes an opportunity which he couldn't quite capture. A handball to the inside from Wilmot. There's enough lines there to sort it out. Nothing perfect, but they line the handballs up. And from one Ashcroft to another, Levi into the 50. There's a roaming task for Bailey. It was just beyond him. The kick was so far off the mark, it'll be thrown in, umpire recognising the skill error.
I don't understand why he bounced the ball. As soon as he got it, he bounced the ball and immediately put himself under pressure.
Max Holmes is just limping off the ground at the moment. The Cats looks very uncomfortable.
Keep an eye on that. John, as we watch the ball, instant kick from Ashcroft, gets them deep. Stewart denying McLaughlin leaping that time. That's kind of buried in there somewhere. Dunkley to his feet. Up and at it again. Kutsar's the tap. Klugic tries his best to mosey on through, but not that time.
Up she goes. Plenty of movement at the stoppage. Ollie Henry with the clearing kick. Neale was clean. Can he release? And to the advantage of O'Sullivan. Links it up to Smith. The Smith a rare sight tonight. A bouncing run. Kicks up for Dangerfield to have a leap at. Knocked away. Close, couldn't get it. Dangerfield back onto it. Smith. Dangerfield searching for the right target. Myers is that.
That's a great kick. That is a great kick. Great work by Bailey Smith. You know he'll be running as strongly in the last 10 minutes of this game as he was at the start. The contest from Dangerfield is fantastic. The kick, perfect.
To reset the margin to what it was at three-quarter time. Myers for his second. Lost it.
It hasn't been a pretty night for Danger, but when he's had the opportunity, he's made things happen just by his will to compete. That incredible competitive desire that he has.
I can see Max Holmes down right in front of us, getting his ankle re-strapped right about now.
Sorko gave it plenty, and well judged by Humphreys, drags it down for the Cats.
Come back on, stand. Play on.
Set mark in the forward half. Deep into the pocket, bit of a standoff. There might be a whistle here for holding.
It's against
Let's go to Paddy.
Sorko. Found himself, I think.
So this would cut the margin to 31.
Come back with me, align with me.
This is going to get the crowd you wanted, Jason. This will get them up, out of their seats.
This is the moment they've been waiting for. But as has been the case all night, it has been a moment that has not come to full fruition. It's not completed, and it's just not to be.
Three behinds and one out on the full.
And he's actually had his best accuracy goal kicking for his entire career this year from set shots.
Until tonight.
Until tonight.
Just what a tragedy.
Zorko's going the long. It's 2 and out number. Brilliantly marked by Dunkley, who's able to release Levi Ashcroft into and out of trouble. Dunkley stayed viable for him. Set it up. Morris couldn't get a run at it this time. Mullen. Myers in close for Humphreys. Kick went nowhere. Will Ashcroft's got an appetite growing all the time. Fought incisive hand pass. Fletcher. Bailey. He's been on the run all night. And he's found Morris.
Made good decisions when they've gone forward. This Brisbane side. And Bailey Smith's been great again. We marvel at him. But Will Ashcroft very much prepared to go head-to-head at every opportunity. And they've been in a little sort of... They haven't been opposed to each other, but every time they come together, it's that little bit extra, I reckon.
He's won some good contested balls, hasn't he? And this man's got the hot hand. Why wouldn't he go back and take the shot?
He just pops up too, doesn't he, Morris? In all the right places.
20-year-old lining up for goal number 6 for a career high moment. Morris has missed. His first blemish, 5 goals won. Jono?
Just about to sub Starcevic for Reveal. So Starcevic coming off the ground with cramp, obviously coming back from a long layoff, so looking after him, and Reveal gets a chance with 12 minutes to go.
So Bruce is in. That was the late inclusion for Gardner, who was initially going to return. Ollie Henry with a leap but can't drag it down. Nice thinking from Manor, but he's just fisted it a bit too firmly. And that's Andrews.
Loved his game. Loved his leadership.
Yeah. And he's made an art form out of that, just accepting the tackle and forcing a stoppage and then going back and setting up behind the ball.
No wind to speak of tonight. It's just been the moisture that's been the difficulty. GMHBA Stadium. Just a few of those white t-shirts maybe just been slightly taken off as we get into the last quarter. Jackets put on. Day around the corner. Guthrie with the challenge of Rayner, and what a challenge that has been tonight, Cam Rayner. What an explosive player he is. There is traces of Martin and Dangerfield in the way he plays too, isn't there?
And I love that, just celebrating the fact that he made the right decision. He was out of position. He had no chance of marking it, so he didn't allow the intercept mark. He didn't give away a free kick. He just thumped it over the boundary line. Set up again.
Guitars versus Day. Henry decides not to try and pick it up. Dangerfield had no choice. Collects it now. Snaps it along the line as if kicking for goal. It gets away from Shannon Neale. Favoured Harris Andrews, who really wanted to take it out but realised he couldn't. Go to Answorth instead. Trots and then kicks. Very wide. Playing the flanks. Mullen in front this time of Lohmann. Takes it and the Cats about to go forward.
Mullen takes off. Creates some movement up ahead of the ball. Ollie Henry's in the middle of that pack, and Harris Andrews has controlled the airwaves. Masterfully. That high-risk kick. Guthrie's closing at great speed. Ball loose. Brazil's first touch is a good one. Kick came out from Will, not only as far as Atkins. The protected zone's been paid a couple of times tonight, not there.
Well, Harris is he's just taking his own space, Harris. He hasn't been worried about playing now.
Oh, Atkinson realised he'd been called to play on. He would run him down. That's insult to injury there. McCluggage suffers the same fate. What's in the other 12s?
That is extraordinary stuff. Extraordinary stuff.
Guthrie off to Humphreys, whose pass is a good one, and Martin will take a shot at goal. It'll be all right when the throws come out a bit later.
Hugh McCluggage, there's no need to play on. There's no options ahead of the ball. Just allow the free kick to unfold. Take the time off the clock.
Jack Martin had this shot a little earlier on in the third term, and it wasn't to be. For his first goal in the hoops, not quite the yardage.
.6:13. It's not a pretty sight on the scoreboard for the Cats. Fletcher takes off. All the experience there of Leicester knew exactly what to do. Releasing handball for Ashcroft. Back to Leicester. Bailey. Progression again is considered. No reason to try anything rash for Brisbane. It wasn't their best work of the night, but Martin generously re-gifts it back into the middle. And a quick push in, and then Fletcher, part of the handball. Day to Wilmot. We've already seen him search forward once tonight. Berry, they get a little closer. Is it Charlie time? Nah, not now.
Well, just strayed away a little bit from what they've done. Even then, Charlie trying to kick a miracle left foot round the corner from 45 wasn't the right option. You need to sum up the situation, look for options.
It's a big kick from Stewart. He finds
Other outs.
up the wing. The Cats can go. Ollie Henry, Fletcher made the spoil. O'Sullivan lends a hand, kept the hands free. Caught enough on the hand pass to set Henry on his way. He tumbles it up to Neale. Atkins changed his mind on the hand pass because Close is on inside 50.
Yeah, they need to be careful.
Bailey Smith from range sets it up on the long shots and misses. Much to the delight of the Brisbane fans behind the goals.
It's just descended into it's not the greatest exhibition here, which wouldn't worry Brisbane one little bit, by the way, but it's just got awfully untidy.
I've just lost a little bit of composure, Brisbane, though. They can see the finish line. They want to draw it in, but just need to keep doing what they've been doing.
Pretty sure that message will get out to them quick smart as they get a bit of possession game going here. Sorko on the last line.
Yeah, so Geelong have just got to find a way to keep pressing and sweat on some sort of turnover, but they're going to run out of time. I don't think there's any question about that.
Leicester back to Andrews. They haven't travelled too far, but now they can. Fletcher's had a heck of a game. Takes the mark. To the inside, to Wilmot. Scooting past Levi, into Neale, set him up for a fall. Got there too quickly to tackle, so he didn't have pride and doesn't get the free. This man has carried a huge load. Atkins to O'Sullivan and then to Myers. Stengel and his 100th, so bit by bit they get a little closer. Lee Henry.
4 or 5 first players. You could raffle that.
Yeah.
So they're going to get a few looks here. Again, Brisbane just seem to want to play on and put themselves under pressure when they don't need to. The hand pass back into the corridor to Lockie Neale. He had nowhere to go. They had numbers out for easy chip kicks.
In the extreme version of the Lee Matthews rule, if you can kick straight here, get them back under 5 goals, but they're not going to do it in behinds. In fact, they only barely registers.
Watch out for the quarter then. They'll keep just the
1-5.
1 goal 5. And it's lived in their half for the last 5 or 6 minutes.
To 2-1. Will Ashcroft marks the kick in. His dad was in game 299 when Brisbane last won here.
And Kai Lohmann wasn't born. Jared was born 2 days later, yes.
Nigel Lappin was playing game 200. He got the 3 votes. Chris Scott kicked the sealer. Guthrie had an ungainly leap at the pack. Lohmann's got a mind to take it. Charlie, starvation rations largely. Can't get himself into it. Atkins, Stewart, maybe Charlie will. Mullen had other ideas. McCluggage, second go, got it going. Mullen shot it around. Hipwood, Cameron, popped it over, he set out on the full. He's got a couple of those.
The win is going to be magnificent. The Kai Lohmann back into a bit of form is going to be one of the big bonuses out of the night. And I reckon Charlie Cameron's work rate is another positive. They've been better players, but they're good signs, really good signs going forward.
Yeah, there's a shove there, so the night's not going to be paid.
A little bit more exposure for Will McLaughlin, who's done some really good things, Gaz. There's a lot to like about them building again in the second half of the season.
Andrews on the bounce. Ashcroft to Fletcher. And they're inside again. Rayner.
This fella's been superb. We know what his upside is, but it is a reminder when you've got 2 Ashcrofts. McCluggage has been, Dunkley's been outstanding. Neale's had a quiet game, and they're still going to get away with one of their best wins for the year. So it is a timely reminder for everyone that their best is probably as good as anyone's.
Season high 20 disposals last week with a goal, so even in their down periods, he's been reasonable of late. 3 in the draw against North, but he's had a big night tonight. Cam Rayner for a 4th goal, and that is anywhere near it, and you can afford to laugh when you lead by 34 points, but it has been a scrappy quarter.
It has degenerated. Jack Martin takes off for the Cats. For the pass to Mullen. Making up as he goes. So Charlie Cameron for company all night. That was hard work. O'Connor kept it out of the Lions' clutches.
Any concerns for the Cats, Jace?
No, I think they've just had an off night, Gaz. They've met a team that's been prepared to really back themselves in and put them under pressure, and it's worked, but...
And as a man that they just could not get past in Harris Andrews.
You can't be the best team every week, and they haven't been this week, but they're in very good stead as we head towards September, the Cats.
It hasn't resembled anything near what we've seen from Geelong, so you have those nights from time to time, but you're only as good as what the opposition allow, and they have been superb.
It's number 13 for Lockie Neale. Sorko in centre field. And the Lions are just happy to chip this around, so they'll go back to second tonight. 2 points in advance of the Cats. They both head off to their bye. Hipwood presented, brought it to ground. Bailey's been a threat all night. He tries for the dead-eye finish and misses.
Throwing a bit of their game plan out the window here.
Haven't they, in the last quarter? A few have just set sights for the big sticks when there's been options.
This is going to be a famous window.
Yeah.
2003.
And Jared, is this the last box they had to tick?
It is. Richmond at the MCG, Hawthorn at the MCG, Geelong at GMHBA.
Humphreys up along the wing. Blitzars, it bounces back. Close. Dangerfield's up at half back. There's really only that's the main thing left from a Geelong perspective tonight. Will they get to see Dangerfield kick a goal? It's looking pretty unlikely right now.
So Lockie Neale's had 13 possessions for the game.
He's been brilliant, Tom Atkins.
Tom Atkins superb. He was the one that sort of lit them up a bit in that first quarter when everything was going wrong.
Stanley fended it down, but the ground crew are all Brisbane's again. Dunkley, Lohnmann's got a mind to fly. In the end, he didn't take the mark either, though. Skimming through, Neale does get possession to Bailey, to Ashcroft as they're way out. Just go to your brother of Endow. Lohnmann's crept forward. He initially flew. In the end, he snaps. Another goal.
You mentioned it before, Gaz. He's taken a long time to find his feet in season 2025. We saw what he was capable of on the biggest stage in the final series last year. He looked brilliant, and he's been a missing piece of the puzzle up forward for the Lions, but he's rediscovered his form tonight, and you can see the difference that it makes.
He's a story from an individual player. Well, Logan Morris, again, continues to impress as one of the best young forwards we've seen for a while. But he's the fellow that they've been waiting. He was the sub last week. They talked about the fact he's lost a bit of confidence, but his involvements tonight have been fantastic, and he just gives him a bit of X factor and a bit of arrogance. I tell you what, I've loved Will Ashcroft's game. He's up to 26. Fags can find something to laugh at. He's up to 26, Will, and his matchups with Bailey Smith have been fun to watch.
41-point margin in the Lions' favour. Bailey hits it hard from the wing. It ricocheted its way through Dunkley and Zorko, and on it goes. Stanley overwhelmed by Neale. Fed it up for Will Ashcroft. He wants the pass for Day. Couldn't hang on against Stewart. They all fight him. So the only two players in Brisbane Jumpers who had experienced victory on this ground were Fort, obviously when he played for Geelong, and Lockie Neale when he played for the Dockers.
That's a brand new experience. And that man there, whose coaching resume now just keeps getting better and better, is going to enjoy this victory.
Lohmann, is there a little bit more for him? Not there. Sullivan takes him to ground.
They got their bounce back. I don't think there's any doubt about that. And that man will go to work on this and won't be panic stations by any stretch. But it hasn't worked out for Paddy's big day.
Stanley down to Myers. Wilmot wrapped him up. Should be 3 in a row that the Lions have had the better of the Cats.
They may have just found a way to play them, I think it's fair to say.
Neale on the fly. Picked off by Atkins. Denied to the last. With Australian to Wilmot. It falls the way of Stewart. Clears for the Cats.
Who has it? What to do with it? Minute 48 left. Sky ball. Lohmann leaping again.
The confidence is back. He came from 5 deep.
He's enjoying his footy again.
Yeah.
That's what happens. You're only a game away from things turning around, and tonight it's turned for him.
Dunkley. Straight to Smith. Stengel a long way from home. Got a bit of interference. Dangerfield is at half forward. Cats have a minute 20 remaining. Down the middle goes Ollie Henry. Dangerfield leaps and gives away the free kick. So instead of getting that last chance, it's going to be Brisbane just to tease this out to the end. A little bit of chipping practice. We all need that. Ashcroft has the mark. Keeping's off across to Answorth. And Cats are defeated and deflated, it seems, but the Brisbane Lions have come with energy. They've done an outstanding job. Stanley. Is there still time for Paddy? No. It's a free kick, and it's going to Brisbane. And the last rights to be applied.
It's been good too, Zorko. They've all been good. They haven't had a bad player tonight, Brisbane.
50 metres to set.
Against Jeremy Cameron, I think he was trying to draw the free kick for being shepherded off the ball. Just having a chat about it there with Dane Zorko, who's having a couple of words back.
He would know, wouldn't he? There's one who would know. It would be Zorko.
Well, he's finally getting one instead of giving one away, Jared.
McLaughlin had a high fly in that third term. Well, this is a moment for Lions fans. Chris Fagan's men break the last of the hoodoos. A 22-year drought at Geelong comes to an end in a powerhouse display that will send a tremor or two through the competition. 41 points controlled from start to finish.
Got him, mate.
Super impressive. That was just they came with a plan, they executed the plan, they jumped them out of the blocks. They kicked 4 goals before Geelong had even settled. And one of the men that had a very, very big say in it is with our own Brad Johnson.
With Cam Rayner, what a win. Another hoodoo that's gone for the footy club.
Yeah, mate, we seem to be playing well on the road and not playing well at the game this year, but, I think it was 20 years that we haven't been Geelong, and they've been in some great form, and, the boys really dug in and played out ground for this one.
Take us inside that a little bit more, Cam, because it was impressive from start to finish. You stopped their ball movement, but it was just something different in the look of you guys tonight.
I think we call it a little bit of a brotherhood trip. We got down here on Wednesday. We've been down here preparing for this game, obviously with the bye coming up, so we're really on today, and we burnt ourselves up for this game. Every time we've played these boys, it's been an absolute banger of a contest, so we knew we had to be on our best game, and we were today.
Nothing wrong with conversion tonight.
No, I think the script flipped a little bit, didn't it? So we can go into the bye being happy, and the rest of the team can get off the forwards back and missing goals.
Even you talk about the leaders all the time, and you're one of those, but the younger players really did stand up. When the heat was on in the game early on, they were the ones that started to lead the charge.
Yeah, this week we've been talking about running into the fire and embracing it. I feel like we've been putting ourselves in positions the last couple of weeks, but probably playing a little bit defensive in the last quarter. So we really wanted to take it on today, and I feel like we did that really, really well.
Oh, you ran right to the fire, mate. You ran out the other side of it and dominated. Congratulations on a big win.
Thanks, Simon. Cheers, mate.
It's 6 wins on the road this year, just the one loss, which was to Adelaide, which was super close, as we know. So, some strange reason they're playing better on the road than they are at home.
Yeah, what might be for Cam Rayner? Where's he going to get to when his career's over?
So 19 possessions, 5 clearances, 3 goals, but so many 50-50 contested balls that he's got a little bit of Patrick Dangerfield about the way he attacks contests.
And we're going to see a show of respect that the man deserves, I think, right now. As not the way he would like to exit this ground, I'm sure, but as has been consistent, Jared, with Paddy Dangerfield, it's just perspective. You'll know that this is a disappointing result, but it's just, it's just another thing to deal with. And the Brisbane Lions players and coaches will all stand as one and show the respect for that man as he comes off the ground on the shoulders of a couple of players.
Well, George is the first one out there.
Respect, as you said, from all the Lions, including the coach, Chris Fagan.
I think the players and teams do this very well now, respecting and recognising the achievements of players from the other side. Fantastic effort, 350 games of the highest quality.
He's not hanging around, Danger. He's doing it his own way. He's not getting cheered off. He's cheering off a couple of kids.
Flip and George. Plenty of with Barney, I'm sure. The whole environment was set for something grander, but
The unpredictability of sport, you're not guaranteed anything, and he would know that so well.
And I think now you look at what Danger's doing and they're just reducing it to another game. It's just a game. It happens. We didn't play our best. And sometimes the good teams need a shake-up like this as they're building to a finals campaign, just to refocus and get that grit and determination again.
Play one other top 8 games in this season, and that's the Giants return league who they lost to in Sydney coming up.
And as Jason said, this is one of those games that you have, and they've had it. We can get down to Eddie Betts.
the guys down here with Charlie Cameron, mate, it's a hard road to come down here and win. It must be a super effort from you boys. Proud of them?
Yeah, no, I think we haven't won here in 22 years, so probably for my time, but credit to the boys. I thought our defense was good. And then young blokes stood up tonight, like Logan Morris, Lohmann. So they were huge tonight, so credit to the young boys. And a bit of bye now, so we get to relax and just get away.
And not the best offensive game by yourself, but it was your pressure tonight. You just got at them, chasing, tackling, and that's really stood out tonight. That's something that you're focusing on?
Yeah, I just thought I wanted to go on and focus, so just 5 tackles. So something the offenses comes off that, and if I get used, they get used, but just try to work on the defense and just try to put pressure on the forward 50, and I thought I did that, so just trying to play my role.
And there was a moment in the third quarter, you took a mark down here, you looked up, you went to kick it across goal and then just flicked it back to the top of the square to Logan Morris. But afterwards, you just put your hand up and just stood there like that. Oh, I could have had a shot, but thought I'd just do the selfless thing. And other blokes in better positions, so I thought I'd do that. And like I said, trying to help the young blokes out. Logan Morris had a super game tonight. And speaking of Logan Morris, you're looking for another full forward. Joe Danaher retired last year. He stepped up, he kicked 5 goals last week, 5 goals tonight. You found someone there.
He's come along well. He's sort of like that 193 or 5 player, so he can play tall and play small. So he's putting his work in training and then getting looks out here. So good on him. He's deserved it.
And last time we both played with Paddy Dangerfield. Super effort for 350 games. He's a special human being, isn't he?
Yeah, I think it was the first 3 years we were there at Adelaide, and freak athlete. He's a credit to him, and played on 350 games. He's a star, and he's probably up there with Stoney. A lot of players have played alongside, and Tex Walker. But yeah, it's Danger. He's an incredible player in person. He deserves the flowers that he gets. Yeah.
All good. Well done, mate. Super win. Congrats.
Good stuff with Eddie and Charlie. It's going to be really interesting to see what role Charlie plays from here on in and how much impact, but they're so team focused, aren't they?
I thought he looked as good as he has for a long time, Charlie, and that's not with ball in hand. That's the stuff he's doing off the footy, his energy, his selflessness. So many good signs. There was nothing about this that you could really pick a hole in. I thought the Brisbane Lions, right from the opening bounce, were magnificent.
I love when clubs go on a mission, Gaz. It's like the world, us against the world. And they came here with a plan, they backed themselves in when probably very few others did.
Yeah.
And they didn't just accomplish it, they did it in outstanding fashion for 4 quarters, basically from start to finish. Super impressive.
And Cam Rayner described it with Jono as a brotherhood trip, which is exactly what we're talking about.
Yeah.
Let's get down there a couple of days earlier, the same that we did, when we won the premiership. And, Harris Andrews said to us pre-game, it's great to spend a bit of time together with the boys. And the way and that man there, that man who's only a young lad, who's 20 years old.
He's just blossoming, just starting to blossom. We don't know what the ceiling is with him. That's the great thing.
How good, how exciting. Joey Danaher's wandered off, he's over in Europe somewhere.
Exactly.
And he's come along now and
opportunities.
Filling the void. So, and this is the other impressive thing. They got this job done here that they haven't been able to do for 22 years without Logan Neale having much of a contribution at all. So Chris Fagan's had a great night.
Sam Graham there. Ben, of course, who was a Geelong captain back here, but he's the new CEO taking over from Greg Swan at the Brisbane Lions. Taking their time out there, warm up. She's talking to women all about how high you go. She's a little angry talking to the men. They're enjoying all moments of this. They started to fight low and take the mark that wasn't paid. Yep. Knew they'd come to play then. Good crowd team, that's for sure. Down into the rooms, there'll be plenty of their Victorian-based fans covered the tickets to get into the rooms to watch them sing the song and celebrate what is famous win for them tonight. Those are the Cats.
And these wins are bigger than the wins at home, Hutto.
Yep.
They're bigger. They're more challenging. You go with purpose. You put a big plan together to go and attack one of the best teams in the competition on their own patch, and you come away with the points. You can see what it means to basically the entire football department of the Brisbane Lions. They're all there. They've got a big crew down. Everyone's involved. It is a massive team effort.
The Victorian boys in the team, of course. Blackman from Cola. Oh, that connection too. But just in case you've forgotten, they were the premiers last year, the Brisbane Lions, and they reminded everyone of that tonight.
All right, there we go. Game, set, match. The Brisbane Lions, who would have ever expected 41-point winners over the Cats, 14-8. Tell you what, they kicked nice and straight for a change. The Lions, 92. The Cats, 6-15, 20, 51. There we go, 21 scoring shots to 22. The 41-point margin. 3 goals, 2 in that final term to the Lions. Well, the Cats, 1 goal, 5. Unbelievable. 3 goals, 10 they kicked in the second half. The Cats doesn't give them much much chance when they're kicking like that. Great rendition of the theme song. They'll tell you what, the Lions were pumped. As they said, it's been a long time since they've beaten the Cats down at the Cattery. Oh, wow, we will come back to the commentators in just a moment. I just want to wrap up some of these stats and then I'll let them take over. Whew, tell you what, Emmanuel, we were waiting for the Cats to do something, but it just never eventuated. It was just one of those off nights for them. Even though it was Paddy Dangerfield's 350th, they couldn't do it for him. Goal scorers, Logan Morris, bang, 5 he kicked a bag full tonight. 5 goals, 1 from his 9 kicks, fantastic. Cam Rayner with 3, Lohmann with 2, Darcy Wilmot, Hugh McCluggage, Will Ashcroft, Levi Ashcroft with a single goal scorers, and of course, for the Cats, only 3. Jeremy Cameron, 4 goals. Shannon Neale, 1. Graham Myers, 1. Ball magnets, Zorko, another great game from him, 33. Josh Dunkley, 30 for the Lions. The only 2 that reached the 30. Best for the Cats, not the Lions, the Cats, the small Cats, 28. Bailey Smith, there we go, next best, 23. Maxie Holmes. Well, there you go. Will Ashcroft at 28, Jared Berry 26. So the Brisbane Lions players up the top of the count tonight. Cam Rayner, a good game with 19 touches, 12 kicks, 5 clearances, 3 goals, 2. It was one of the better games I've seen him played. Lockie Neale was well held, just the 17 touches. Got quite a few of those in the final term, of course, when it was game, set, match. That was a thing. Poor old Paddy Dangerfield, you got to feel a bit sad for him. He's one of the great players. 15 touches in his 350th. 10 kicks, 5 handballs, 2 marks, 2 tackles, a clearance. Couldn't quite snare a goal. He just kicked a 3 behinds, did the superstar Paddy. Oh, well, next, couple of weeks' time, they might have a victory. I didn't look to see. We'll have to have a look and see who they're playing next. Team stats. Well, they got away the Lions by about 64 plus. Inside 50s. Look, both teams had plenty of chances. 51 to the Cats, 58 to the Lions. Both teams getting it inside. Free kicks, of course, the umpires thought, you know what, let's even this up for the hometown. 21 free kicks apiece on the night. Stoppage, hit-outs, Lions were +3. Clearances +1. Centre clearances all tied up. Stoppage clearances +1. So they did it. It's just the ball use and the composure of the Brisbane Lions. They were the ones who came out to play. Their pressure was really good all night. Geelong's was very much lackluster, certainly missing only +4 to the contested. Uncontested, as you see, the Brisbane Lions controlling the game there by around about 67 turnovers. Well, 75 apiece. High turnover game. The marks with the uncontesteds, Lions by 29. Marks inside 50. Well, there you go. Both teams had plenty of chances. The Cats just kicked not straight. 13, 16 +3 to Lions, marks inside 50. So that was pretty good as well. Looking at the tackles, well down the tackles for the Catters, just 49. 66 is their season average. The Lions above their season average by 20-odd%, 61. Tackles inside 50 just shows the pressure not there inside 50, whereas the Lions 12 really good there for their inside 50 pressure. Let's have a little bit of a look. Let me reload just to see this is loaded up yet. And of course, there is the ladder now as it stands. Of course, Collingwood sitting on top on 44 points. Still 2 games in hand of Brisbane and Geelong. There we go. Brisbane now move up into second position on 42 points. 10 wins, 4 losses and a draw. Geelong slipped down into third position now on 40 points, 10 wins, 5 losses. Of course, they got the Adelaide Crows, Hawthorn and Fremantle right on their hammer, biting at their heels. And of course, Gold Coast and the Giants rounding out the ladder. That is the ladder. And there is the score. I'll tell you what, let's have a look. There's still some games coming up tomorrow, folks. Don't worry about that. Unfortunately, I don't think I'll be able to cover any. I'll be out. Probably tomorrow and Sunday, but the next game you can probably go and listen to those on Game Board over there on her channel. Carlton and North Melbourne, 1:20 p.m. Melbourne time. Port Adelaide and Sydney follows that game, and then following that, the mighty Collingwood Football Club take on St Kilda, looking for a big percentage booster and a victory there for the Pies, playing at Marvel Stadium Sunday. GWS Giants Gold Coast. I tell you what, that's going to be a ring-a-ding-ding game, and of course, Western Bulldogs taking on Richmond Sunday. A couple of early games, 1:10 and 3:20 p.m. Melbourne time. Just looking at the fixtures, of course, both of these teams, the Lions and the Cats, they do have a bye next week, so they'll be really looking forward to that rest. But I think the Cats, the week after that, they'll certainly hit back and hit back hard. They'll be playing Saturday week, and they will be playing at GMHBA Stadium again. They'll be taking on Richmond. I think the Cats can bounce back in a big way there. Of course, for the Lions, their next match Saturday week, that's an evening game. The Brisbane Lions back up at home at the Gabba. They'll be taking on Port Adelaide. A little bit tougher assignment for Port Adelaide, but you would expect both of those teams to win, so it should be fascinating. Running out, but I tell you what, Manuel, go Pies. They got St Kilda tomorrow night, and then I think they got the West Coast Eagles the week after. So that should just about stretch Collingwood out to a game and a half lead when we get there. Of course, we've got 2 games in hand. Actually, that might even put them out of 2.5 games clear on top of the ladder. Then Carlton, so it should be 3 wins coming up for them. So all teams now probably vying for 2nd, 3rd and 4th, the top 4 spots. That's going to be the challenge for all these sides at the back half of this season, which is going to be fascinating. And of course, the mid-range teams down the bottom of the top 8, they're going to be fighting for it, and they're going to be trying to keep the Western Bulldogs out as well. I think the Western Bulldogs and up at about the only chances they're going to get into the top 8 this year. And I think we're going to be in for some good finals in just over a couple of months' time, so it should be really good. But still a lot of good games to play between here and there. A lot of games we're going to be looking forward to. Tell you what, hey, thanks everyone for coming into the chat. I tell you what, it was a tight old game, even though on our poll, on our vote we had in here this evening, 51% said the Cats, 49% said the Lions. I know, I think there was still a lot of people expecting a little bit of a comeback by the Cats. But I tell you what, they were just, there was no real, there was just a little meow, meow, meow. They were like kitty cats tonight against the might of the Lions. And they certainly showed the Lions. Well, they got the job done. I'm just unfortunate, as I said, for the Cats. It was like the Cats, all the hype around the 350 for Paddy, etc. like that, but they just didn't come out with any of that fire in their belly. Anything like that tonight. Where the Lions, they had something to prove tonight after a few lackluster weeks, and they certainly came out firing, and they were certainly the team that looked the cleaner on the night. They stood up. They didn't slip over like some of the Cats players, which is surprisingly down on the home ground of the Catters. But there we go. Addy G, ladder to see Docker's position. My gullo, there we go. Dockers sitting 6th on the ladder. Good thing for you, Eddie G. The Gold Coast play the Giants, I think, from memory. That's right. Gold Coast do play the Giants. So there we go. no matter what happens, you'll still be in the top 8 after this round. After this round, Freo will still be in the top 8, so that'll be all right. Because I think the Dockers have got a bye this week. So I tell you what, it's coming down to that part of the season with about about 9 rounds to go or something. It's not about the matter of other teams losing and you hanging in there. Your team's got to produce, move forward, kick on, be as productive as possible, winning as many games to cement your spot in the top 8. Don't worry about other teams winning and losing. You just got to continue to win, continue to grow, continue to climb that ladder and strengthen the way your team plays and getting everything spot on. Mickey Mouse for the finals coming up. Can Fremantle make it? Well, there's a good question. I tell you what, they're a little bit like last year. Can they or can't they? That's at least they're sitting 6th at the moment. They'll probably be 7th tomorrow, but at least they'll still be in the top 8. Tell you what, we're going to be interesting to see how this ladder plays out as the season goes on and on. Hope not. Enjoyed Adrian Freo bundle out the first week of the finals. Well, I'll tell you what, there we go. Just looking at that ladder. So if you're not finishing in the top 4, you definitely want to finish 5th or 6th. 5th or 6th, I think, will get you the home final. I'm pretty sure that's the way it is, isn't it? I think 5th or 6th gets you the home final. So if you can't make it into the top 4, you definitely want to make it 5th or 6th, get that home final. I know that, especially if the Bulldogs, if the 8 stays like it is, which, I just don't know whether I can see that happening, because I can see the Western Bulldogs jumping into the 8. The Western Bulldogs will be in the top 8 after this round, and either Gold Coast or the Giants will be out, I think, because the Western Bulldogs are going to play Richmond. They'll jump in. They've got the big percentage. Freo will go to there. Either Gold Coast or Giants will go to 6. Freo will go to 7. Bulldogs will be on... No, the Bulldogs will be up to probably 7th. Freo probably... No, that's right. Freo's on 36. There we go. What am I saying? There we go. Bulldogs will go to 8th. Freo will stay on 6th or 7th, and one of these teams will go to 6th. I'm confusing myself. Anyway, hey, there we go. Hey, we got through it. That's okay. No worries. Another fantastic game here down at the Cattery GMHBA Stadium here in Geelong. Where it was the Lions 14-8-92. Big winners over the Cats 6-15-51. 41-point winners. Hey, that's all I've got for you, folks. Let me just leave it on some of the commentators for a little bit of a wrap-up before I end it. But thanks, everyone. Too many Collingwood cigars. I tell you what it could be. It could be too much excitement on the 2023 grand final. And this year when we cheer on the Pies again for another grand final victory, that'll be fantastic. Tell you what, it's going to be interesting. Hey, that's enough of me talking. Thanks, fellas. We'll see you next time. I'm not sure whether I'll get one done on Sunday, the last game, maybe. Just depends if I'm home, but I am out tomorrow and I'll be back Sunday sometime. So, my gosh, if I can't cover them, hey, head on over to Game Board. Hopefully she'll cover a game or two over there, and you'll be able to have a chit chat to Tina. That'll be fantastic. You might give her a big smile over there as well. All right, there we go. Sana, she's doing Addie G, you doing the Ginebra game and Converse Fiber X's. I did that also, but not getting much on the second. Tina's doing that. She's got 39 watches over there, so fantastic. Audie, but Sana, good stuff. She's famous. All right, that's enough of me talking. Thanks, folks. We'll see you next time. I'll just put it back to the commentators and they'll give you their little bit of a wrap-up. I think they're just talking of the Brisbane coach at the moment, Fagan.
Accuracy's on. Doesn't it make a difference? Yeah. It is, without a doubt, the most important stat in football, I reckon, that one. And, Geelong tonight, they didn't kick accurately, which is unlike them. They're actually, I looked at the stat today and I saw that they're the most accurate team in the competition. I thought, well, that's not good, given our record, but it's funny how footy goes sometimes.
Your two young forwards, Lohmann back to form. And Logan Morris, that's 2 weeks in a row he's kicked 5, which is a pretty big feat for a 20-year-old.
Yeah, it's a great effort by him. I was a little bit worried this week. He got a bit of media attention for his effort, and I sort of said to him, "Oh, mate, keep your feet on the ground." But he told me he was okay, and he proved that tonight. He was terrific, and I was really happy for Kai because he's been battling. He was a sub last week. When he came on, he didn't play all that well. I must admit, I rang him on Sunday. I said, "Mate, I'm going to play you again next week, so get ready," and paid us back tonight.
Harris Andrews just controlled everything for you in his trademark way.
Yeah, he's such a steadying influence and a cool customer back there. And yeah, I thought he held up many of their attacks and gave us great stability.
So you said in the pre-match, no tricks, no twisting yourself inside out, but a really good plan against Geelong. Do you feel, and that's 3 in a row, do you feel like you've got a method that the players now know?
Well, it sort of changes a little bit all the time because Geelong changes too. I mean, Chris Scott's a great coach and they're never the same for too long. So, but look, we just wanted to, obviously you've got to do well at the contest to start with. That's where it all begins. But we just were aware that they were a side that want to move the ball quickly and they want to get it through the corridor, and we worked extra hard on trying to prevent that, and I thought we made them kick it long down the line a lot tonight, more than probably what they usually do. And then when we got the ball ourselves, we just didn't want to play 2 straight line. We just wanted to change angles and to open the field up a little bit, and I thought we did that well enough, and we're able to create some scoring opportunities for ourselves.
So you get to take a breather now. You do it in second place on the ladder with your 10 wins and a draw. Just give us your assessment of how you reckon it's gone so far.
Look, I think it's gone really well. I mean, I've been super happy with our last 3 weeks and got 1 win to show for it. But no, I think it's always a challenge when you're the premiership team to come out and play well again. And you know, albeit we've been a bit scratchy at times, we've been fantastic at times. We get to the point of the year where you get a bye, it's 10 wins and 4 losses and we're second. It's probably a pretty good place to be, I reckon.
What will you put on the board now?
I don't know, I'll have to make something up. I've got to work out another way now, don't I? But it's been fun actually ticking all those things off. We've enjoyed that process. It's been going for 8 years, so it's good.
Good on you, Fags. Thanks a lot.
Thanks, Jared. Cheers, mate.
Good to see Fags has ticked off his bucket list down in Geelong. Let's look at the highlights from tonight. Thanks to Yui and Jordan Lewis. No surprise, the Lions transition.
No, we're 9 goals from back up, and it was really well done. You speak about limiting the transition space for Geelong, but also using your own transition space. So as soon as they got Geelong on the back foot and Geelong were retreating, they went short, which then allowed them to use that transition space, get the ball into a position where they made the defence from Geelong really vulnerable. So instead of feeling the pressure and going long to usually a Geelong outnumber, that their hands, we've spoken about their hands, but their handball game was good. The players from behind were able to use a run, and they really kicked long. I love this kick from Charlie Cameron. Sold it to the left, came off the side of the boot, and then over to Logan Morris in the back half. So 7-5 from defensive half intercepts, 9 goals from back half. That's a really good return.
It's a massive return. We looked at the punishment at half time and it continued in the second half.
Yeah, look, they were excellent. They really had an intent to move the ball before Geelong was set up to defend, and you know, ironically, Geelong have done that to opposition. You know, with this transition focus that they've got, especially in their offense and their hard running. But once they were able to get through that first line of pressure, Bailey was really important. You know, Zach Bailey through the middle of the field, either with handball receives or with his run and his legs. Every time he got involved, it seemed to me like, you know, Lions ended up connecting and scoring. So his legs were huge, yeah.
And it's good to hear that Fags goes, we've played well for 3 weeks, but we've got 1 win to show for it. Like, there was a lot right. There was a lot of green on his board, but the accuracy is one thing sometimes you can't control, but from his method, he's pretty happy.
I think he's always had that in him. I remember when he was at Hawthorn and we were going through a bit of a form slump, and I think it was on the eve of maybe 13 or 14 final series, and we threw everything out and said, what are we doing well to get ourselves back in a really positive mindset? He did that last year, and I think he's done it before. So it's one thing that he goes back to, but the players, for me, it was about the energy, which was set up, as he said, in the Monday review. 10 minutes in, out. It's all about this weekend.
And don't underestimate, I think we've forgotten a lot about that they haven't had a bye for 15 weeks because of what happened with the Cyclone. They would have had the bye in round 3. So the rigours of this AFL season for all the clubs is really difficult, let alone to do it 15 weeks in a row. As the defending premier, when you know the teams every week are
Shorter
coming
pre-season.
shorter pre-season, they're trying to hunt you, they're trying to get a scalp. So it's a big effort, and it was smart by Danny Daly, who's the footy boss of the Lions, to go down an extra day early.
Yeah, just stay away from the sushi, Brownie.
Yeah, well, that's right. Not good for sushi businesses, is it? They'll be closed. They'll have the close sign up tomorrow.
Shut it down.
Yeah. Might be just avocado. Chicken or salmon tomorrow. Yeah, Brisbane. You're talking about a transition. Not only that, Brisbane did it really well, but they limited the Cats going the other way. And I thought they were just really on tonight, weren't they? They anticipated really well. The Cats only took 69 uncontested marks. They averaged about 100. So what Fake said, they forced them to kick long down the line. And every time they tried to sort of switch it across or get it back in the corridor, the Lions players were right onto it, and they were able to just chop it off in a number of different ways, whether that be by intercept mark or just getting there to make the spoil. So, outstanding. The wingers were outstanding. I thought Fletcher and Berry patrolled the wings beautifully, and they helped, I suppose, turn the ball over and get the ball back going in the Lions' favour.
Bucks, you spoke about coaching against Chris Scott. The transition. Like, as a coach, what do you look for? What do you want to execute?
Well, I think there's the energy of the players that they bring and the intent to close down space. We saw that with the intercept marks that were evident. Wilmot, that intercept mark in that goal, that was on your toes, sharp, ready to go, teasing distance. And I thought that the Lions continually did that. So they. To be able to, an offence that has been as damaging as the Cats have been, to have 43, rebound 50s and only go inside 57 times, that's well below their average. It's well below competition average. And the conditions might have helped a little bit, but I think the Lions were well and truly on structurally, and then the sharpness of the players to go and execute and make the plays from there.
What did you think about that in terms of how they attacked that, Louis, in the punishment side, but to shut it down for 4 quarters? You can do it to the Cats maybe for a half sometimes, but not 4 quarters.
I think it's difficult, and the one thing that you really need to do is make early decisions and come forward. So to really stop their transition right where the ball is, I thought it was really well done. You see, as soon as Geelong either looked to get a handball, it was one to the receiver, one to the guy with the ball, and then the periphery was one to the receivers. It was never really 2 Brisbane players to the 1 Geelong play, which then gives you that overlap play. So I thought it was brilliantly executed. Every team would go in against Geelong and wanting to do that, but it's another thing to be able to execute. And Brisbane today, to a man, they were on the same page.
The other thing that played into that was how good their offence was. They forced the Geelong defenders and even their midfielders and high forwards to do a lot of work going back towards, to support their back six. And if you're doing more work that way, you've got less energy to come back the other way. So Brisbane's offence was that good that it helped their defence. So and that transition feeds into itself. But I thought they dominated that part of the game against a team who has dominated others for the majority of the year.
All right, let's get back into the room. So Gary Lyon is there with Jono and Eddie. The boundary line is a bit quiet tonight for Dangerous 350. Must have had some great gourmet food around the stadium.
Well, boys, there's nothing like being in the victors' rooms. And I tell you what, there's a great sense of accomplishment down here. There's no question they set themselves for this game. Having a bit of a chat with a few of the boys. They've got the bye coming up. They know they hadn't won here for a long, long time, and they've achieved the mission.
Oh, it's huge, isn't it, really? When you're talking to Cameron post-game, you just mentioned, we spoke about running to the fire, run to the fire. Like, don't look back, go towards it, take up and absorb the heat, and then come through the other side of it. And they did that in a big way tonight. They were impressive from the outset. Even at ground level, guys, their communication was high. They were directing, they were communicating as best I've seen them in a number of weeks.
It started from the first bounce. When it happened, they just put pressure on them straight away. And every time a Geelong player got the ball, it was a chase, tackle, and someone like Charlie Cameron, who didn't have his best game offensively, those small forwards really put in the work, chase, and made sure that it wasn't an easy out for Geelong.
We spoke to Chris Fagan off air pre-game, and he had a little bit of defiance about it. He said, "Oh, you blokes, we haven't been that bad." And then I just saw Cam Bruce, who's the assistant coach. He said, "Look, we've been going really hard, and everything we looked at, through the week suggested that we weren't too far away." and it's played out that way tonight.
Well, I had coffee with Josh Dunkley this morning and Dale Morris.
Who did you talk to? Anyone?
I talked to Tyson, but he missed his dribble kick.
But you're right, even this morning, in all honesty, you could just get a sense about the way that they were as a group, and more past a few, a bit more serious in their approach to just having a chat with you. And so it all adds up, and it was 2 days of coming in and obviously what they were coming off from the 2 weeks prior, that they just leveled up a bit.
And it's not even their key players that played well. Like Lachie Neale only had the 15 disposals, but then you got Camarena, who stood up and played like an absolute superstar.
And Kai Lohmann got back to it, which I think is really important. So, no, boys, very, very happy Brisbane Lions team here. They got the bye. So they got a little bit of a break. A few of them off to play a bit of golf down in Tassie. Nice. Eddie wants to hang around, but I said, look, we should get going. You want to go for a bit longer, or you got to get down the highway?
We'll get back down the highway, guys. We'll get back down the
Eddie's
highway.
chauffeur's ready for him to drive. Back to you, Dicko.
Terrific work, Gary. Massive night down there at the Cattery. Paddy Dangerfield, 350. So the coach wanted to celebrate, wasn't to be. Brisbane 41-point winners. Let's head to Chris Scott now.
Well, how disappointing is that, Chris? Given the occasion and obviously great opposition. What did you make of it?
Yeah, more about the occasion based on the opposition. Like, each to their own, and celebrating those achievements is, in my mind, it actually doesn't change much at all. You'd like to play better, but you've heard me say for 15 years, Pete, that if you need a milestone to try, then you're not a true professional. We played a really good team, and they were sharp tonight, and we were the opposite. So it was, if that's a pattern throughout your games, then you've got a problem, and you may not be a very good team. I don't think that's the case with us. It hasn't been a pattern. It was a bad game to have an off night against, because sometimes you can have a bit of an off night and get away with it, but you can't against the quality of that opposition. But didn't think it was a complete disaster. Like, the scoreboard got out of control. In a way, based on their efficiency, and they kicked for goal differently to the way they have in previous weeks, and we kicked a bit more like they have. Like, even at three-quarter time, when obviously we were well and truly up against it, the expected score was pretty tight. And yeah, there's just some uncharacteristic stuff that, again, if it's a pattern, then that compounded means you're a bad team. I don't think that's us. There was some stuff tonight. And it's not complicated. It's just the stuff that you all saw, like skill errors. Like, there's a little bit of method stuff, but so much of it was just execution. And so if that happens week after week after week, we'll have a problem. But this might be one that we put in the category of beaten by a better team on the night. By next week, chance to regroup. We're in pretty good shape.
I feel like they had more pressure coming in when you guys have won 5 in a row. I feel like they came here wanting to prove a point as well.
Oh, I'm sure they did, and I'm sure that they have a right to feel proud of themselves, and I thought they played really well. But again, I almost take offence to the idea that, if that were us, for example, then I wouldn't like the accusation that, right, you really steeled yourself for this one. What about the previous couple? I didn't look at us and think, gee, that was we were off because of effort, or that we took the opposition easily. We were crystal clear on what they could be, and they played the way we expected. We just weren't good enough on the night to counter it.
How rattling was the start? Obviously, there was all the build-up. I know you say you don't need the motivation of big games or milestones, but so much build-up, there's the white t-shirts and everything, then they just go bang, 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 bang.
Yeah, and, there's 2 centre-bounce free kicks. We gifted them 1 goal with a really bad turnover, and then you're 4 goals down. I wouldn't reference the build-up so much as we needed to, start the game better. And we gifted them some opportunities that, I do believe in this bit. Like, when they're coming down with a bit of hope, and that gets validated early in the game, okay, now you've got some work to do. We had the chance, I thought, early to put them under pressure, and for some reason we chose not to, or went for sort of more expansive options that hasn't been a part of our game in the last month or so. So again, so much of what we saw was kind of an outlier tonight. But again, there's always the two sides of the coin. There's that didn't look like us. But then the opposition played the game in a way that, and even when the scoreboard got the way it did, that made us change a little bit of the way we played, which invariably is good if it works for you, but it does give the opposition a chance the other way, and they certainly took those chances.
So you've been a very high rate of the kick first out of intercepts and out of stoppages this year, whether it's a handballs or similar to that again tonight. Can you maybe speak to some of the advantages of that approach and maybe why you thought it didn't quite have the same success tonight?
Yeah, it was the conditions. It was quite slippery out there. It looked slippery for us. It didn't look as slippery for them. One of those nights. But yeah, in terms of the way we try to play, unfortunately, I don't think we've been in a presser too often. But I don't talk about our tactics that much or the way we play. Other coaches do, but yeah, I prefer to keep those things a little bit more to myself. But is there something else you'd like to ask that I can actually answer? I'm trying to be polite, but...
No, that's fine. I mostly ask questions in Canberra. You guys don't come to market much?
No.
Marks inside 50, you guys had a very wide spread this year. I think tonight you had 13 off 8 different players. How important has that spread been for you, particularly in the post-Hawkins era and just the modern game in general?
Yeah, so we didn't quite give our forwards the chances that we would have liked. Even, I think statistically, the game, besides the scoreboard, a lot of the stats are actually pretty similar. It's not as if we weren't getting the ball forward. It wasn't as if we weren't getting the shots. And again, it sort of fits into the category of, that's unusual for him to miss or not make the distance. But to beat Brisbane, we certainly thought that we needed to give them different looks inside 50. But for one reason or another, sometimes it was a fumble, sometimes it was a missed kick. We just couldn't get them under enough pressure early on. And they really did back their defenders in. And they played well. Credit to them.
So you are a coach who puts some reference to the expected score concept. Can you tell us a bit about what you think of that?
Yeah. Only because it's so simple. I think sometimes the stats are a little misleading, but this one's objective. Like over the course of time, what's the average situation from a shot from that range? It gives you an idea. It's just a little bit deeper than... because sometimes scoring shots can be a bit misleading too. Sometimes there are a lot of rushed shots from angles. But, off the top of my head, Morris kicked a snap from the boundary line, had one 10 metres inside, which is like, put down your glasses normally and missed it. That's sort of what it looked like to our observation. So, to be clear, not so much that we think, if we kick straight, we would have won the game. That's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying it wasn't a disaster. Sometimes you lose by a lot and you think we just got outplayed everywhere and we were never a chance. We thought we were getting enough chances to be competitive, but it just felt like one of those nights where I sort of said this to the players: what could go wrong did go wrong, and that happens. It happens to the best teams, and I don't know where we are in the comp now, but I think. Again, just moving forward, so sit back and think, okay, 10 and 5, go into the bye. We've got opportunity. So I don't think we'll be dwelling on this one for too long.
One more question, that's one more in general. Just in general terms, though, can you tell us a bit of how you see the trade-off between +1 in defence versus allowing an opponent to stand various options up the ball sweeping, etc.?
Yeah, I think it's always an interesting one. Like, some teams play very hard one-on-one, and other teams choose to drop off. So I think the too simplistic way of thinking about it is where's ours, where's theirs. Depends a little bit on the conditions. The answer is it does depend. And even in games like this, sometimes it changes, because you're 5 goals down.
Probably compared to your
Yeah, look, it's a hard one because from our end, because we think that's been a real strength for us over the last 6 weeks or so. But yeah, they're you know, if they're not the best, and they probably are, they're the deepest. You know, their first and second and third year guys are guns. Pick one, sort of makes a bit of sense. That shouldn't be a surprise to anyone, but it's not as if they're relying on them to be their number 1, 2 and 3 mids. Behind it, you know, Brownlow medalist and another guy that might win it, just in their midfield. So yeah, they're going to be well served for a little while, I reckon.
You know, Sam Conning tonight, you're going to be without him for the next little while. How do you see that backline piece? Obviously with blitz ups and that all changes as well.
Yeah, and we're hoping to get Colin Jasny back at some point, so he will help. But they've been good for us, those guys, and we do feel like we've got some flexibility. Like even in a bad loss, I thought Jack Henry was outstanding tonight. So, and he's had a really good season. Prefer to have De Koning in there, but it's not as if we're not like some other teams who have lost. Or maybe early in the year we sort of lost all our defenders at once, and that is hard. There are some teams that, you know, almost lost them all. That's hard. But when you lose one, I think we can cover for that. But looking forward to getting him back.
Sorry. How do you feel heading into the bye? You sort of alluded to it. Tonight's not a disaster in terms of where you're placed overall, where you get the chance now to reflect and look forward.
Yeah, I think, look, tonight's a disaster in the context of tonight. And I'm terrible at this, but I've got to try to practice what I preach a little bit and move on quickly. I think pretty easy to take a step back and say, okay, you know, if you looked at this point of time 10 weeks ago and said, now, you know, I wouldn't take 10 at 5. I want 15 and zip. But in the context of a really competitive season where a lot of teams are losing games, like, okay, I think the question is, does that position give you a chance? And I think that's an emphatic yes. So clearly we'll need to play better than tonight, but we have been playing better. I'm confident. Tonight was a bit of a blip, as disappointing as it is.
Does College Adams plan to set the result for his timeline back a little bit? Because obviously you expect him to come back in, but how long did you see that kind of playing out, or not too sure yet?
I have no idea what our club says in terms of the injury outlooks, mainly because I don't believe them. They get it wrong all the time. What are we saying? Indefinite, because we don't know. Yeah.
In the next few days.
Yeah. I was more referencing the fact that, 8 games to go, hopefully finals if you're good enough. That adds up to 3 months. We're confident that he'd be in the picture there. Thanks a lot.
There you have it. Disappointing Chris Scott on a big night, but if milestones are your motivation, then that's the wrong way to look at it. And speaking of looking at it, that journo that came down from Canberra, that's dedication, isn't it? Come down and get your money's worth. Five
journalists. Yeah, no, it's good entertainment watching him and Adam Kingsley go toe to toe. Press conferences down there, but he's decided to get on the road and test his luck against one of the great press conference coaches.
I thought he was playing Sale of the Century. Next question.
Hurry up, it's 11 o'clock.
It is, all right. Let's have a look at some Cats numbers. You can see there, not the night Chris Scott wanted, and we discussed from turnover, they were smashed, they didn't score, defensive half. So tonight on all fronts, plain and simple, points 4, that's not a great result.
No, it was pretty ordinary, wasn't it? And I agree with him. Brisbane looked like they were playing with a dry ball. And the Cats are a bit off. It looked like it was a slippery ball to them. And their kicking was off early, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Especially, you know, I know Brisbane was lauded their defensive anticipation and their work rate, but the Cats still off for their skill level, Geordie.
You a big expected score, man?
No.
That's a short answer.
No, look, like he gave us he just gave us a project answer on what that was, didn't he? Like, this is what it's all about. I think he was just filling time, Scotty. I think he was being a bit facetious there when he was giving us that answer. But No, look, Brisbane clearly won and controlled that game from the get-go. Like the expected score might say that, you know, Geelong, and scoring shots alone indicate that Geelong might have been able to kick a score greater than Brisbane's, but you play that 100 times, it was going to be the same result, I would have thought.
Yeah, well, it was a massive win down at the Cattery. 41 points for Brisbane. Tomorrow night, a Super Saturday. It's the it's the ladder leaders, Collingwood, taking on St Kilda, and he's a premiership player now, premiership coach, Craig McRae. The Fly has the Pies flying.
Super Saturday.